Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 185 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. As always, I am joined by the man who will happily take your Microsoft reward points and not change the program on you, Lord Cognito. How are you today, good sir?
Trying to keep the status quo. It's been busy, man. It's been busy. Oh man, it's a lot. You know when you got like, you're so busy, but it's actually a lot of kind of good things going, but it requires a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of attention. So getting pulled in like 1,000 directions. You're trying to give everybody love, but you can't give everybody love. So anyone who's been reaching out to me and be like, yo, what's up? You ain't respond. That's why. It's a ton of things going on, but it's all love. I'll try to get back to everybody. But just in the mix, man. What about you? What's going on?
Doing all right. I'm busy myself. I wouldn't say getting pulled in a million directions, but July, it's weird. Like when things are busy, it's for obvious reasons, right? Like when we're doing June coverage, for example, like there's a ton of trailers, tons of things to cover. July and August are busy in their own unique ways. I've realized in that numbers go down because there's really nothing to talk about. Like just no announcements, no showcases. Like we're just all waiting for the holiday period. So like all my gaming channels typically struggle in these next 2 months. And so the way you kind of go against that grain is like, all right, well, let's like up the output and like, let's do some different things. And so you have to work harder in this different way. On the content front, and we're moving toward another deadline for our games, so that's been absorbing my other time. Nice. But it's been good. It's been good, nice and chill lately. So we appreciate everyone tuning in. As always, you can support us on patreon.com/laststandmedia, where you get episodes of Defining Duke early, ad-free on Thursdays. Otherwise, we'll see you on free feeds like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, YouTube on Sunday. You can also write in over on patreon.com/laststandmedia. Like Astro Paraking said, hey, Dukes of Lore, just wanted to drop a line and say, thank you both for everything. I recently got my master's en route to my PhD. DD Drop Day on Thursdays is always a favorite of mine because I know y'all too will always have a great show and a fun time. I do not have an Xbox, but listening to y'all is a joy. Hell with the haters and keep on being awesome. This is the part where he loses me. Have a Vibe and Panther is coming type of day. And so, we made an agreement when the Oilers were playing the Panthers in the Stanley Cup that if the Oilers lost, I would have to wear the hand-drawn, like some kid drew the Panthers logo, and he said he's going to get me a shirt for it because I agree, because I thought the Oilers had it in them. So unfortunately, I now have to wear the shirt of a team not only beat one of my favorite teams in the Rangers and bump them out of the playoffs, but also beat my Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals. So Astro Parrot, like I can't cheer for you too much. Like I guess congrats on the PhD, dude. But like otherwise, you're a sworn enemy until that bet is over.
Yo, shout out to that. That's the homie. That's the homie. Oh, shout out to him. We usually go to check out Mets games, and you always put me on the Florida stuff. But first of all, congratulations, man, Masters, bro. You doing it real big. Loving it. And this is super positive. Doing this memes game is off the chain. You already know what he doing.
Yeah, the out of context DD photos. This man is responsible for him.
He is responsible. That is the guy right there. But that's the homie right there. Salute to him. And you ain't had to throw salt in the wound, man, on my man like that. Vibe and Panther. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing because I'm the one who has to say it out loud. We got Mike Normal as our next write-in. In all seriousness, by the way, congrats, Astro Parrot. Very happy for you. But Mike Normal has an interesting write-in here. I've never seen something like this, but Mike, I'm about to do something I've never done for a member of our audience before, so I hope you're watching, but not too closely, and you'll understand why in a moment.
Go.
Good day to the realm. Going off of last week's discussion regarding studio setups, this one is directly to Maddie. And I don't really mean to come off rude or disrespectful. I love your setup, and it's awesome to see the progress over the years. However, ever since you've been using your current office/studio setup, I've had one major gripe that I'm quite honestly surprised no one has called you out on. I have medical issues with my eyes that cause light sensitivity issues. Unfortunately, I am unable to watch the YouTube variant only for short periods due to the corner lamp in your office that causes severe light glaring spot on the screen. I've had this issue with my own setup before, and simply turning it off during recordings helps. I don't want to come across as a D-bag, with peace and love. Have you sat down to watch your favorite Xbox show and couldn't last more than 20 minutes because Maddie ruined it with the gosh darn lights kind of day. So, Cog, hold it down for a moment. We're going dark.
Listen, man, Realm of the Dukes is for the people. You see my man right now? The light is going off right now. If you're for audio listeners, this is an iconic moment. You have no idea. Mike Normal set off the trend. The poor man was suffering in the Realm of the Dukes. Many Dukes, Realm of the Duke members were suffering in silence. Yeah. But Maddie did the right thing, y'all. That corner light is off, and the realm has been restored. Eyesight has been restored.
So, Mike, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to try to remember every time to shut it off for you. I will say it's going to get dark in here because I'm facing a window. So once it's dark outside, it's going to be dark in here. I got one lamp on over there, just one little reading lamp. So we're going to see how that goes. Mike, I hope you're doing better now. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Mr. Mav is a man of the people. Telling y'all.
All right. Connor, you're up next. Hey, Dukes, longtime listener, first-time writer. Today is the 1-year anniversary of my then-girlfriend, now wife's cardiac arrest. It's known as the Rebirth Day in the community of cardiac arrest survivors. I wanted to write both of you to express how much this show and ILP helped me through the couple of weeks that she was recovering. After she was admitted and put into a medically induced coma, we were unsure of what the final result would be when she woke up, as the doctors were unsure of how long her brain was without oxygen. They were throwing around numbers like of people that have VFib, the term for rhythm that her heart went into in their sleep, only 3% survive, and only a small percentage of those 3% have no brain damage. So it was an incredibly stressful few days as we awaited her waking back up. That first night, I sat in the chair in the waiting room at the hospital and had both that week's Defining Duke and ILP on repeat to bring me back to earth. You guys both being so open and honest about your health has been a great way of coping with recovery for both me and my wife. We both have the health is wealth shirts and say the phrase constantly. Since the cardiac arrest, we've been going to the gym together and have both lost 30 pounds, all while the Duke boys play in the headphones to get through the workouts. Both of you have brought endless hours of happiness and positivity to our lives, and we thank you for what you do each and every week. Keep it up and have a chuckle at Maddie's pulse-worthy moments while in the waiting room at the hospital kind of day. What a write-in, dude. This really touched me, man. That's incredible to hear. Not obviously the top half of the story, but to hear how our show is there for you. I mean, that's really what it's all about. I mean, we obviously, when we sit down and do the show, we try our best to bring like the best analysis we can, the funny stuff alongside it. We try to keep it loose, but you never know how your work connects with someone. You just don't. Like, that's part of the thing you accept this line of work, and it's tough because you work hard on certain things and you don't know how it's going to resonate with someone, because most times when that thing happens to them, that it carries them through something, like it's a quiet moment, and people, it's fine because that's what we're doing it for, but people don't really reach out often. So thank you, Connor, for just taking the time to remind us how important it is to always talk about health is wealth here on this show. And it motivates me too. It's like a little voice in the back of my head where if I'm like slacking a little bit, like you're not going on your walks, Matt, or you're not hitting that Peloton, like I think of this show. So I'm happy that through us just kind of naturally talking about it and just going into our medical experiences as well to open shows sometimes, that a little bit of a community has kind of been built around just focusing on personal health and getting people to be a little introspective. That's always great. But Connor, we hope you're doing well. We hope more importantly, your wife is doing well and recovering well. And congrats on your health journey so far, and keep it up, and we'll happily keep entertaining you while you do it at least once a week. Yeah, man, Connor, this definitely touched me, had me a little watery right there, man. Like, again, hearing about Rebirth Day and cardiac arrest, survivors, and it's serious. And I can only imagine the stress you go through during the waiting period of your loved one in a medically induced coma. Right. That is something I have no experience with, the amount of anxiety that must come with. And you're hearing because I'm the type of person like he is, which I want to get the data, right? What are the realistic chances of damage? What are the realistic chances of normalcy after things like that? And you get hit with harsh realities. You go, oh my God. I remember I told y'all when I came out, the diverticulitis, COVID, and the other thing combo. And he was like, yeah, if you weren't an in shape guy,
you would not have made it. And that's when the tear ran down. I was like, yo, it gives you an appreciation. So to hear his story and to see his wife come through and, you know, them just living their life and using this, obviously our platform to, when we talk about health, to get them to do stuff is super inspiring. I've been getting a lot of messages like this recently, and you know, some people business I don't want to put out, but it goes to show you, Maddie, how much we affect people. And when we talk about this stuff, and I obviously love being here in the realm of the Dukes with you, but this is what it's about, right? This is all at the end of the day, you know, having, even on the smallest level, just some type of comfort to get you through is really appreciated. Salute. And we definitely will be chucking at more Maddie pause-worthy moments. They will happen. They will happen for sure.
I probably got one in the tuck this episode. Just wait.
Salute to Kyle and wifey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Best wishes to you both. And it does remind me of my grandma a little bit. Like I remember when my Mimi went into a nursing home, like I remember that place was like literally, no exaggeration, killing her. Like there are some nursing homes that are just not built well.
Yeah.
And when she was in there, I'll always remember that first visit. This isn't like a cardiac arrest thing, but she was having extreme difficulty breathing, and there was a connection between the breathing because she had emphysema and her heart. And so I'll always remember going in to visit her, and how the last time I saw her before that, she was at her house and it was a totally normal, great conversation. I always visit her. And then afterwards, the next time I saw her was in the nursing home, like a week later. And it was like a totally different person. It was like the scariest thing ever. It was like just not there. And my mom was like, we need to get her out of there. They weren't letting her go. It went on for a while. And it was that moment of like, I guess the reason it reminded me of this story is like, you don't know if there's going to be that second chance. And when we got her out, she just bounced back, bro, completely back to as normal as it could be for the next couple of years. But like able to converse, remember things, know who you are. Like she even recognized me when we first saw her. I was like, that was heartbreaking, right? Because it wasn't like, oh, this is like dementia or anything like that, which I've also gone through with my other grandma, which is like a whole other pain.
Yep, my grandparents had the dementia.
Yeah, the toughest thing to go through, bro.
Brutal.
Yeah, like the most painful thing I think I've gone through. But like that was different because it was like nothing's wrong with her head. She's just like fading. And to see her bounce back like that was inspiring even to me, because I think it just shows like that was like when you really look at it in the scheme of things, like that was just 1 week and she could have just given up. She didn't. And so same thing here, Connor, right? Like you just had that pocket and look how you guys are bouncing back from it. So, you know, again, just best wishes to you both. And thank you for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
All right, Drew, you're the last writing before we get into some gaming news. Hi, Dukes. Hope you guys are well. This one is mainly for Maddie, but Cog, please feel free to join if you'd like. I started Lost Odyssey based on Maddie's recommendation. I got a few hours in. I was thinking Maddie might be onto something here. The music is great. The combat is fun. And the ability learning system sounds pretty unique. I was even blown away by some of the memories you unlock of the protagonist, with one of the stories, being vague to avoid spoilers, about a city celebration almost got me moving to tears. The storytelling being that powerful. But dudes, I got it to the top of the mountain on the first main quest line, and holy moly, this Griffin-like boss keeps kicking my butt to Kingdom Come, so I had to put it down. Dudes, his moves were so powerful, and it's so early in the game, he was driving me more insane than the final boss of the Elden Ring DLC, which I can relate to. So please give me some tips. The game seems great, but that first boss definitely dates the game with its difficulty in the modern era. Anyways, just wanted to pass along this little story and hope you guys are well. P.S. My Health is Wealth shirt and tank are on the way to my house now. Super stoked to wear them in the gym. Best, Drew, which we've been seeing a lot of people sharing their clothes that they bought, which is cool. Really, really cool. So that was awesome to see like across Discord and Twitter and stuff. Thank you all for tagging us and for ordering. It's just really cool to see people sporting the motto and wearing it to the gym. That's really awesome. My feedback for you, Drew, we don't want to let this go, especially when a game almost moves you to tears, dude. Like you can't let that go. You can't. I was there with you. I know what story you're talking about. Yes, like there are more moments like that. It's absolutely worth it. Not just in like the main story, but in those bonus stories, we'll call them. I forgot the name of the DLC, Memories of something. But nonetheless, number one, got to grind a little bit. Early game, okay? I don't think you got to do much late game. I don't remember doing it much late game, but you got to like go back, do some random encounters, level yourself up, commit, all right? You're committing here. This game's, It took me like 50 or 60 hours to get through, all things considered. I would also say don't hesitate to use like a guide. I mean, this is a traditional Final Fantasy game in that, sometimes they kind of just lightly suggest where you're going to go, and you might need a little nudge along the way. So you might tune into that at some point anyway. So don't hesitate to use a guide for these kind of older JRPGs. I don't shame guide usage. I personally try to avoid them, but I don't think there's any harm in like, hey, I'm stuck on this, but I really like this experience otherwise, because some bosses have very specific weaknesses. I don't remember this first boss. I don't remember getting stuck. So it might just be a level thing if you can handle that. It might be a build thing or a particular weakness targeting thing. I will say the combat gets easier because when you start off the game, you only have like, I think, one row of party members. The game is built around like a 6-party member system. So, you're still in the building block era where the combat system is trying to work when you're like at half strength, basically. So hopefully that helps a little bit, but stick with it, bear with it, grind a little bit, look up some guides. See where you go from there, Drew.
Yeah, there's some intense guys that put you on with the healing and some stuff.
Yeah.
There's some stuff out there if you choose to utilize that stuff like that. Absolutely. But I agree.
All right, Cog. Well, we move in from the write-ins to our news. A lot of just pure Xbox news this week. Normally we have like a lot of third-party stuff peppered in here. We have a few gems that are pertaining to you and I. One in particular I'm very excited to get your thoughts on. But for the most part, just Xbox this week, which is very fitting for our show. Microsoft rewards. Let's talk about this. This was an interesting one because at first the rumor, the information was that there was going to be this change where you could not use Microsoft reward points to like get your Game Pass subscription renewed. Now I made a mistake, and it's funny because in my video on my Mr. Matty channel talking about it, I said like, oh, some people are spreading information. And I was like, shit, I was one of them too. I did it on our crossover episode, and Meatball rightfully called me out saying, what's up, illustrious Dukes? I'm writing in with perhaps the first ever pre-recording correction for defining Duke. Maddie mentioned on Sacred Symbols Cross-Defining Duke this week that Microsoft plans to take away the option to redeem Microsoft reward points for Game Pass Ultimate. After attempting my best Jez Corden impression for 15 minutes, I wasn't able to find any word of Xbox confirming this info. Am I crazy, or did the Dukes have Daddy Phil sharing the family recipe in their DMs? That is not the case. So there was a follow-up to this story because some people were seeing that like, hey, my auto redeem is going away. Xbox responded to this saying, to someone, hey, Game Pass member, we're making a change to auto redeem reward options, which means your current discounted Game Pass Ultimate or PC Game Pass auto redeem subscription is going away on August 12th, 2024. You can still use your points on a new auto redeem subscription or explore the catalog for other rewards. So basically the news is no news. Nothing is really changing here. It was like a scare, and now not the case anymore.
Yeah, and I wanted to add on as far as just the reward system in general. Mm-hmm. Look, bro, just playing on Xbox, bro, they be lacing me still with a lot of points. I've been monitoring it since, remember, things supposedly it was going to change dramatically, right? Bro, basic usage, I'll be honest with you, Matty, I would say about 2.5 weeks, I've already earned about $10 free on, just $10 credit, and I can use it to auto redeem towards $10 for Microsoft points, so I can go buy a digital game or put towards whatever other thing that they have on their reward system. So I have to admit, even though it changed, and at first I felt it was going to be negative, I feel like I'm accumulating rewards faster and more now.
Well,
which
also
is strange.
You like digital, so if you buy stuff digitally through Microsoft rewards, that'll like. I still have points for when I bought Halo Infinite because I was like, I'm not buying this physically. It's a paperweight. So I bought it digitally. I got like 6,000 points from that. So yeah, if anyone's like a digital bro or sis out there, Microsoft Rewards is huge because you'll get a lot from it. I'm interested in PlayStation Stars as well. I don't know much about it at all. A friend put me onto it. It was like, you should check it out. Like you'll get good deals there. I was like, all right. So I got to download it. I got to look into like what kind of deals they offer because I want to compare and contrast. But I always liked the Microsoft Rewards program.
Yeah, it's simple, man. It's just like, hey, play a Game Pass game, play this game, open the app. And it's like you already accumulate so many points within a week. You're like, all right, here's $5, $10. Okay, cool. It works for me.
Next up here on the list, Cog, Amazon is now selling an Xbox controller, Game Pass Ultimate, Fire Stick bundle. They say stream games, no console required once more. Davey Supple writes in, what's up, Duke? So I bought the Fire Stick Max 4K with Wi-Fi 6E. I have really good internet, roughly 900 megabytes down, 300 to 400 megabytes up. I hooked up my Xbox controller and tried a few games. This ain't it, fam. Feels like less than 30 FPS, grainy visuals, and input latency. Tried a few different games, and even slower, cozy type games, but it still felt off. I have streamed Xbox and PlayStation games on my phone with no issue, so I thought this would have been a sure thing, but buyer beware. I just purchased the Ethernet adapter, so I'll update when it comes. Have a Andreja looking like a PS2 game kind of day. Damn, that's cold. So, I looked this up. On Prime Day, this bundle that I was talking about, which includes, like I said, controller, a month of Game Pass Ultimate, the Fire Stick bundle, meaning the actual dongle itself, as well as the remote, $80. Really good deal when you think about it, right? Because like just the controller and Game Pass alone is $80, and then you get pretty much a free Fire Stick and remote with it. So you're saving like $20-$30, which not too bad. And then there's a cheaper bundle that goes for $70, which is like a different variant of the Fire TV Stick. Have you tried this though? Because I don't have it, and I was like, I already play on my console. I have it, on PC. Like I don't know if I really need it outside of testing purposes, but it seems very like wasteful because I know I won't use it more in that like 10-minute window, and that seems like a pretty big swing for $20-$30. So I wasn't really crazy about it, but I saw Digital Foundry did a video, and they also weren't super impressed by the performance with this. So have you heard anything differently from the experience with this?
To be honest, like I said, I'm in the same boat as you, which is like, I'm not really the target demographic for this. So it really doesn't make any sense for me. I want to shout out my man, K. Santi from the Gaming Circle podcast, very tech centric channel, him and Everborn. They got that episode. I watched his video on his testing. He's very technically savvy. And it was kind of like results will vary. He had, I forgot what the first game maybe was like a flintlock, and then the second game he had like Halo Reach or whatever. So basically, the higher Twitch games, like where you felt the latency. As a hardcore gamer, you still felt it. So I heard some experiences which were simpler, which came a little better, but I got to be honest, the results have been, that's what I'm hearing. So again, I can't say anything for myself. I haven't tested. A lot of these people, their environment, and a lot of people's environments are actually pretty good. So it is a little surprising to me, kind of thing. The other thing I will note is that, which my man said, Davey, is two things. One, with the TV situation, please make sure your TV is on game mode. Do whatever you can to reduce as much latency on that. And the second thing is, highly recommend Ethernet. I mean, if you have the ability to go Ethernet, please go Ethernet. That's just my rule of thumb from a network standpoint. But yeah, they're going to have to make some improvements from what I'm hearing. It still results may vary kind of with this thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wonder if it's just from the introduction of a new device or it's when a device is built with gaming in mind. For example, I wasn't in love with Xbox Cloud Gaming until Logitech G Cloud, because like I tried it on my phone. That was okay, but I'm never going to use my phone for gaming. Like it's not even just being stubborn. Like it's just not where I want to play video games ever. My tablet, which I was most excited about, was not great at all. And the PC, you're hooked up with Ethernet. It's like, this is fine, but this is not what I want cloud gaming for. Like I'm already on the computer. I'll just download it with the Ethernet cable. So the wireless capability was super important. But then I got to the Logitech G Cloud, which was really built alongside Xbox in the terms of like promoting, like it came with the Xbox app built in. Like it was really a centralized Xbox cloud streaming device because that's where Xbox was trending toward at the time. And that device really blew me away. Like I was really stunned with how great it felt. And I tried all sorts of games on that. I remember trying like twitchy FPS games, 2D platformers, like games that needed good reaction times. And that really took me off guard. So I learned there, I was like, well, this was built with gaming in mind versus other devices that were built with something else in mind and then bringing the gaming to it.
Good point.
So I wonder if there's a trend continuing here in that devices that maybe aren't gaming centric yet, even if you've got a power, like Davey and I sound like we got pretty similar internet. Like I pay for like monstrous internet where I do some Xbox cloud gaming wirelessly, especially lately. She'll be in the den while I'm playing in here, and I'll be like streaming a game on Discord to my friends while she's streaming a game on Xbox Series S, and she doesn't really have any issues at all. But again, device built with gaming in mind. So you have to wonder about like optimization and that sort of thing. So maybe we're not quite there yet. Yeah,
it could be. That's actually a very good point, because obviously remember when I was testing, Game Pass streaming wirelessly through MetaQuest, I was blown away, with a kind of a more of a gaming centric device streaming this. And I just put my controller and it was fine. But they could still be working out the kinks, obviously, between Amazon. I think the only thing that kind of bothers me is like, man, what would have liked a lot of this thorough testing prior to launch because to me, let's be honest, first impressions are everything. So right now it's kind of like mixed, right? And I'm just like, and me, when it works how it should be, right? Kind of thing. So that's my thing, because this is a big initiative for them, right? They want to push this worldwide.
Yeah, bro, that could go to like how many 100 million people got an Amazon Fire Stick 4K Max? Like it's decent amount. So, pretty good.
Wi-Fi 6E, what Dave was talking about, he's balling. He's doing it up. He's on the highest, one of the higher protocols of Wi-Fi. So I can tell he's doing his thing. So they've got to work that out between Amazon and them.
Let's continue the conversation in an interesting direction here. Sean Mason wrote this in. I thought it fit well. Greetings, Dukes. Considering Xbox's recent advertisement highlighting console-free gaming and their emphasis on cloud-based play anywhere capabilities, do you think Xbox should introduce a more affordable Game Pass tier exclusively for cloud gaming? Since downloading games won't be necessary, this could potentially lead to a lower cost and attract a few more users who are not yet part of the ecosystem. Nod in your head, Cog. You agree with this sentiment?
Absolutely. I've been trying to preach this for the longest. Shout out to Sean Mason. Again, if your goal is you want to be everywhere, every device, and we talked about it on a crossover, one of the things that I feel is, I don't feel like the death of the industry, but like, some people's like, yo, subscription is not sustainable. I keep telling people, free to play is the enemy out here. Like, these kids are not wanting to pay for a console, don't want to pay for anything. So my thing is, if you're Game Pass and you're going to be where everyone's going to be at, you need to have that base level tier, whether it be the ad tier, where it's just, you got to watch the ad, but you in, and then you may get this super curated list of games, right? Super like a games with gold or whatever it is, but you pick the games, right? And then it's like, okay, here you get to touch, you get to check it out. And that's how you start like, man, all right, you know what? This was pretty good. All right, you know what? I might want to be down for this Call of Duty. I might want to be down for this about. That's how you got to do it, because no one wants to pay. I keep telling people, like, and then in the way this economy is in the market and $70 games, like, it's real out here. So I agree with Sean Mason. That's the homie. Shoot to him. I think they need on a big, like just even if you can't do it free, like the most inexpensive $5 entry level tier to get people to at least taste, try, and see what it is. Once you get that, boom, it's like a mobile game. Then you're like, oh, okay, all right, I'll spend for that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you get the taste, you got to hook them up. I think it's coming, because I've heard rumblings of like them meeting as far as advertisers and marketing stuff.
They're going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's coming. They know it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's my thing. But what's your thoughts on it?
I think this will come when they're ready to do like a whole mobile storefront, like when the Xbox mobile experience is ready, because that's where the core gamers will firmly reject this, no doubt. Like, I think most people, even if it's free, will be like, you're kidding me, right? Like, ads in the middle of my games. Like, that's where we're trending in some way. And it's either going to be Xbox or EA. Someone's going to break that floodgate soon. And I think it's going to be Xbox, because they're still in some level of a growth phase with Game Pass, and that the console growth phase is over. But now, like, how do we get beyond that? And so I think the phone experience, which if you've played any sort of janky, crappy phone game, part of that experience is between levels ad, like between something ad, or something in the corner ad, like, or ads part of the game experience, like Candy Crush promotions, just as a random example. So I think that free tier will arrive when the mobile experience is good to go, whatever that looks like. I don't know if it's going to be as egregious as we all fear, which is like mid cutscene and then like, whopper. Yeah, like I don't know if that's what's going to happen, right? But you were seeing like, John is going like, I need a weapon, and it just cuts off.
I know that is the fear, right? Yeah. We don't want to get so egregious, but that's a good point. I'm wondering
how they'll handle that. Like, maybe you put it on a timer, and just when it's about ads about to hit, like, you just let the timer tick. It's gonna, no matter what they do, it's gonna lead to a lot of memes, right? Like, someone's gonna be in the middle of something serious, some ad's gonna hit, it's gonna go viral, it's gonna create this whole clear message around like what Game Pass with ads looks like. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, I think they're going to do that. I think that's where you get like a cloud only sort of tier. The messaging for some is already pretty confusing, because now you're like changing the name of the console tier to standard tier. And that standard would have worked on its own. But even then, like, core sounds higher than standard to me. So like that sounds like the middle area, like the core, like the middle part of the package. So yeah, I think they're already having trouble with naming. And if you throw in like, okay, an ad free or an ad bundle or tier, like, okay, we can deal with that. But then is that the same one as like the cloud streaming bundle? And are there tiers to the cloud streaming bundle? So, all right, we have like the cheap ad focused cloud streaming bundle. Then we have the Vault ad bundle or streaming bundle where it's like, okay, you don't get to download these games, but you get to like stream all 300 plus games on Game Pass. Like, that's where I'm interested to see how they handle it, because you can create a lot of layers to Game Pass if you wanted to. I just think it could be potentially a little bit disastrous.
Oh, good point. Yeah, they've got all the heavy lifting with naming conventions and how many.
We know they're up to the task with Xbox One in the 3rd generation and Series X and S to follow up the One, and before that was a 360. It's you know what they should do is they should call the Xbox the Xbox 180. It makes so much sense. Like, this is the turnaround.
Turnaround.
This is the turnaround.
Okay.
I mean, that would be like, think about them doing the 180, and doing the same 360 release schedule. I mean,
all right, lead it into it.
A little gimmicky, but like, I think it'd be kind of sick.
I like it. I like where you go with it. I like you go with it.
All right. Well, we'll see in due time. Thank you everyone for writing in. This is a fun one, but also a sad one. Microsoft is releasing dynamic Xbox 360 Blades background as a goodbye to the Xbox 360 digital storefront. This goes away, I believe it's July 29th. So if you already have these Xbox 360 games, you'll still have access to them. But if there's anything you want to get, they're having a pretty big sale. They've just added a bunch more games on sale. So go ahead and get as many as you want and make sure they're all downloaded and installed. And be warned, again, I already did retro rebound videos on this if you want to check it out. But if you are looking to physically collect, get in before the store shuts. Because if you think the prices are high now, when that option is gone, which is only about a week or so away now, it is going to go up. Up. Like, a lot of people have been sitting on these. That's been the chatter. Every retro store I go to, they're all waiting to jack up their prices, is what I'm getting the vibe. Like, because they're all like, yeah, I'm hearing like 360 and PS3 are go up next. I'm like, oh, why is that? Because like all y'all are saying the same things. Like, what? Who is saying this? It's like, oh, it's because you all want the prices to go up, and this is the catalyst for that moment. So they're gonna go up. Take it from me, who's watched it happen a bunch of times, and Kai, I'm sure, as many more times. So, like, what do you think of this Blades background? Have you downloaded it? Have you used it? I've been using the Xbox 20th anniversary one since they dropped that, because that's like the original Xbox dashboard, and that's like my personal favorite. Like, that kind of creepy NASA fueled dashboard. That's like my favorite, bro. Love the ominous vibes of that dashboard. So cool. But yeah, have you downloaded this 360 Blades background? Have you put it into use yet?
I've downloaded. I haven't put it into use yet, but I did download it. I listen. I love the sentiment. The 360, the Blades, man. That's when life was good. Back and forth. You know, you had that guy. Always looked out for that guy with the icon that had the hat with the eyes chewing the bubble gum. You always got to watch out for dudes with that avatar.
They always say something wild in game chat.
Yeah, exactly. There were certain little avatars during those times that you worried about. I think I ran with the Oblivion Iron Lord kind of. That's the
so
one I got.
Funny, because that's like your meme on the Discord server.
Bro, that's so me. Like, I literally would run with that for so many. I think one time I had the Rainbow Six Siege, the brother with the spec goggles, whatever.
Oh man, I'm looking at some of these now.
Yeah.
The original gamer picks. Remember the one of like the Rock that was like grinning? He was like a jelly bean. I don't know what it was. That one always pissed me off a little bit. We got a soccer ball. There's a golden retriever one.
I'm telling you, the dude chewing the bubble gum. Y'all watch him, man.
Yeah.
That one, that guy's always
He's
a problem.
Always a punk. It always, like, there's never been more of an accurate like fit for a personality than the people who used the bubble gum. And because the dude's got his ears pierced too. I'm looking at it right now. Complete douchebag vibes.
Bro, let me tell you, the 360 avatar, and then that was the day of I remember when I was at Meta, I was explaining how we could improve the online, presence, stuff like that. Like, people realize, like, it was the Wild Wild West. People don't realize it was a Wild Wild West out there, man. Because you had to choose your type of gamer you are. You were this, you were regular, you were pro, and then there was underground. Mm-hmm. You remember you could get to pick, and you was those dudes a little bit more loose. Some Call of Duty lobbies a little crazy, and then you know what I'm saying, matchmaking may have been kind of mixed with those guys together. But yeah, those are fun times, man. I miss the Blades, great era. people want them back. People want them back. They're that highly loved.
There was a personality to this era.
Yes.
Like, you know, obviously this was the rise of online gaming. So nowadays these pictures represent like really good memories and memes for some. But I'm actually here. I'll send you this picture I'm looking at. Someone did a tier list of all of them.
Oh, you got to send me this.
It's so good, dude. Look at this. There are some here that I completely forgot about. There's the monkey one.
The monkey one.
There was the Halo launch ones. There's Oblivion.
Yeah, that was mine. That was mine. Yeah, the Oblivion. Yeah.
Wow. I think it's the Modern Warfare 2 soldier, the guy with like the orange goggles. I think that's what it was.
Wait, the one you talking about all the way towards the bottom? Above that was the guy. He's Rainbow Six.
Oh, Rainbow Six.
Yeah, that's Rainbow Six. I used to run with him.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about which goggles, though? The one next to the green dragon
one above the jelly bean. That
was the guy. That was the brother. I used to take him. The one above the jelly bean, below the skull.
Yeah.
I used to take him. Yeah.
Oh, they got the Fable. The Fable one, I remember. That was what I used at first. And then they did a retro pack, and they did like superhero retro pack. And so I've had Spider-Man for years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, man, were there opportunities to get them from other sources? Or
that was okay. So they had the avatar system, and the avatar system would, I think, let you unlock certain gamer picks, or there were games that let you unlock gamer picks. That was part of it. I forgot about that, but like PS4 kind of had a little bit of that energy with unlocking themes, which is now like a bygone thing. Like I remember with Persona 5 Royal, once you beat the game, you had to like email Atlas or something and let them know you beat the game or something like that. There was a way to kind of like submit like, hey, I beat the game. Like, can I get my special Kasumi theme now or something like that? And that was limited. But yeah, like those days are just gone. I don't get it because there's both these boxes do the same thing. It's just like mildly different. Like these are the things that add the personality and like the sense of community, that ecosystem. Like it's really important. So I'm not going to oversell gamer picks, but yeah, I think they were like really good stuff, and it's a shame to see it all go away.
It was the era of personality, just kind of defining our online identities and stuff like that. Good times. And 360 clearly ushered, with Xbox Live, truly ushered it into the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, rip the Xbox 360 digital storefront. Get your physical games off of eBay and local shops while you can for a reasonable price. All right, next up here, Cog. Forza Horizon 5 has reached 40 million players this past week. Very, very impressive. What do you think of this statistic?
I mean, what more can we say, right? What more can we say? Forza Horizon, man. I mean, that was the game that I really felt when that launched, 2021, series consoles was riding so high. We're cooking. That's what I felt. All right, just keep this consistency. This was during the Metacritic Publisher of the Year. You had Flight Simulator. You had Psychonauts. You had, I think it was Age, one of those two. And then obviously Halo did come out that year as well. But gosh, let's give Forza its flowers, man. It is truly a remarkable game. To this day, I fired it up. Remember I told you not that long ago, and I was just playing. I got that, that 80s kind of car pack and messing around, and the Hot Wheels DLC. I just felt like it was the perfect storm. And I'm going to be honest, I remember when they announced Mexico as the kind of the biome, I was like, let's see how this works. Remember, let's be honest, we all want Tokyo. We know how that go, right?
Oh, well, bro, now they're positioned perfectly. Like the series is on a high and they're about to probably hit that area. Like couldn't be a better setup right now for them.
And it just shows me the greatness of Playground. I remember I had my whole party. We were all playing racing games together, seamlessly mixing. And it's just a great, and it's another thing for a handheld. That is a showpiece. That is a technical showpiece playing that game.
I think they had, when they announced it as Project xCloud, I think they had Horizon 3 or 4 as the showpiece for it.
And it is I want to give them credit from, we talked about cloud earlier. That is a perfect pitch point example of good latency and how to utilize it. Like in a driving game, to have to be that responsive. Yeah, Forza Horizon 5 is amazing. And I even love the title screen music, that little Mexican theme song as it starts up. It's just a thing, man. Salute to them. It is tremendous. They can continue to go on as much as they want. We know they doing play. We know they doing Fable, but this is why I have to, as an Obsidian guy, I have to bend the knee if they knock out or they pull off Fable. Yeah. Because to have a successful racing game and then a successful RPG, And the way they look at it, look like they gonna pull it off. Woo! We will talk about them in a different light. Playground games, man. Salute for real.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so successful at this point. I know Forza Bros, you will not like this. I apologize, but you do. I'm sorry. You have to, if you're a company focused on quote redundancies, I do think they will take a look at like, do we need a motorsport if we got a Horizon this popular? And I know. There's difference in racing, Matty. I get it. But when the count is this high, comparatively speaking, right? Like Forza Motorsport did what I would define as, from we can tell, metrics wise in player count. We're not even talking sales. All right. Didn't do bad, didn't do amazing. When you look at how seismic Horizon's been, and you're looking at like the future of racing franchise and like where we can invest, where can we cut costs? I'm not saying they're going to do something. I'm just saying you got to imagine they looking like, dude, this is still racking up players. How is Forza Motorsport doing as they're like splitting up updates and whatnot? So I'm not saying it should happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just, as a commentator, suggesting that Xbox could be taking a look at things here and just wondering like how deep does this well go for us?
Look, I got to jump in and surprisingly defend the motorsport.
Come on.
You know I'm a Horizon dude. So for me to even do this, I'm just being fair. Look, we already know who the king is. We know Horizon's the king. We know this, right?
Yeah.
But I had learned that as much as we look at engagement for a motorsports and we look at that like, damn, it ain't really doing what we thought it was going to do, or, you know, kind of thing. From my understanding, from a monetary standpoint, the players that are actually playing in motorsport are actually spending more money. Not or just as much. I should say a definitive. Yes, it surprised me. When I got this data out, I was very surprised. I was like, what? I was like, in my mind, like, that's a failure. You know what I mean? Not a failure, but not. I thought they would want
Horizon would be making more money. Just
right. And I'm not definitively saying Horizon makes, you know, a motorsport makes more money than Horizon. But from my understanding, motorsport makes a lot of money for those who are in this ecosystem. That group, big time spenders, big time mind. And it surprised me. I'm like, wow, I thought it would tie directly with engagement. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't surprise me in the sense like the game is good. The game, from what we played, it was like they called the car PG, and like that was a great sales pitch for me. I was like, oh, this is awesome, and I enjoyed what I played of it. Like Forza Motorsport is a good game. Yeah. I just think Horizon's success is now starting to, I think, leech some of the players from the base. There will always be that hardcore, like that's where the term Forza Bro came from. Like we came up with on the show because as the launch approached, like we had these hardcore car enthusiasts like writing and be like, no, Maddie, no cog, and they were educating us and like, well, I'm sure someone will do it this coming week. No doubt about it. That's okay. Like we welcome that sort of education. We want that. Or I should say I want it. Cog's defending you guys. I'm just the one saying at the end of the day, I think Forza Horizon's eventually going to start to leech off a little bit. Is it, though, at the same time, like, would I be saying this if like Halo Infinite's doing super well and then they go and make another spin-off Halo game? Like, would I be having that same energy? It's like, probably not. So maybe it's my own bias speaking a little bit and I can acknowledge that. But I do wonder, like, with racing being a genre you can only do so much with,
right?
Do they find the need for a simulation in an open world racer to be a thing they have to continuously address? I just wonder about that sort of stuff. But if they're making money, then that's the answer right there. And so
I heard that they're doing quite well. That's doing quite. I was shocked. Let's put it that way. Okay. And that's what I'll say, because I'm with you. We in my, how Horizon has the zeitgeist. We know this, but I guess there's a part of me as a sports guy, even though I'm not a motorsports, but there's a part of me that like you do need the simulate. Like think about baseball, right? Think about all the years when we didn't have MLB to show or whatever. Like, don't get me wrong. We love our, our little, MLB All-Star hits or whatever those games were that were kind of casual and may have done well. But I do have an empathy for the hardcore guy that's a simulation-based sports guy that just all they want to do is tweak and twerk and all that. I'm just glad the lane exists for them. But I'm with you. I do feel that Horizon.
I like that line. The lane exists.
Exactly. Bars. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm glad that to see that both could exist and hopefully, that none don't go away for certain people because I know how that is.
I don't think it will. I'm just more so saying I could see them at least taking a look, but I could be wrong. I could be completely fucking wrong.
We will see.
All right. Well, on that note, we transitioned over to the Ninja Turtles. TMNT, Mutants Unleashed, got a gameplay reveal trailer. The game will be coming out October 18th this year. Blurry writes in, hey, Maddie and Cog, Ninja Turtles Mutant Unleashed trailer has dropped. What are your thoughts on the trailer? And are we seeing a Turtles pushback into video games? I know Apple has an exclusive roguelite on the way, and now this. Should we expect more of the Turtles down the line? P.S. Reminder for all Duke listeners to pick up Rise of the Ronin as your personal homework for listening to the pod.
Facts.
Last Ronin. I don't know if we were talking about the Rise of the Ronin game, but we got the Duke's Bible right here. So,
yeah, you already know. That's the Bible of the Dukes right there.
Yeah, Last Ronin. Yeah, it's actually funny, real quick before I get into my thoughts on the trailer, because I did say, I was like, this kind of looks gas. I guess a lot of people don't know what that means. And there was a whole little thing on Twitter. It was so funny. So Jake Baldino responds to me. He's like, does gas mean good or bad? And at one point, like, I usually don't care about this stuff, but at one point, his tweet asking me that had more likes than my actual tweet talking about the game. I was like, dude, that made people not know what the hell I'm talking about. Like, am I on a whole? I've been saying that's gas for like years, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. Like, that's straight gas. And so I'm reading the replies, and some people were like, yeah, man, like Maddie's bad with lingo. I'm like, fucking when? When the fuck did that happen? When did I get bad at this? Like, am I old now? And so I clarify with Jake because he's like, yeah, man, like I'm just seeing games as a service. I'm like, no, like gas is good. Like I did for a moment think like, is this something I got to pull back on? When I first wrote the tweet before anyone responded, I was like, gas. It's like, no, like that's like fire, gas. Like it's duh, but I guess not. It was unbelievable though. I was like, wow, so many people don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to use that word anymore on Twitter. I learned my lesson.
Hey, yo, that's what I remember seeing Jake say that to you.
Yeah.
But I was just like, okay, I know he was just clowning at first. And I was just like, yo, this is wild because I got it. I knew it, man. But I was like, yo, that's funny that he got that much of a response.
Dude. No, I mean, Jake's sincere. So I knew Jake wasn't like messing with me. Like, I knew Jake was like, I just want to know if you think this is good or bad. And I was like, no, I think it's great. Like, I think it looks good. But then, like, one of my friends, Rob Rule of Two Review, like, he's a huge Metroid fan. We've podcasted a few times when I did ham radio. And he was like, his response was, I don't know what gas means, but I think this looks pretty good. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, that was so many of the replies. I'm like, yeah, it looks good, guys. Like, that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, if that's your slang of the day. If anyone's wondering, gas good. Some people were asking for like the breakdown of the vernacular. I'm like, I don't know. Like, you use gas to make a fire.
Fire.
Yeah.
Like, this is the equivalent of us saying fire.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Lit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I just feel
the connotations is all there.
If you start thinking about it too much, I'm like, yeah, it is kind of dumb. But like, that's with anything. Like, it's lit. Like, oh, it's bright in there. It's like, no, motherfucker. Like, that's not what I meant.
Games as a service? TMNT with games as a service?
I know, right? I was like, shit.
It is kind of funny.
But it was really funny. So, to my point.
All right, what you think? I need to know.
I thought the gameplay trailer, I'm of two minds right now. Before we answer Blurry's question, like, I'm of two minds of this trailer. I got the press release, and I could see if I could find it real quick in my email. But they were talking about like dynamic day and night cycle. They were talking about like open levels, collectibles, multiple routes, progression. At the same time, like what they showed in the gameplay trailer was very linear and narrow. Even when they were like skateboarding or rollerblading or rail grinding, I was like, they were going down like a single stairwell. I was like, this is cool, but like this is very linear. The other thing that's just got me at odds with this game, dude, is I hate this turtle design passionately.
Oh, bro, I am so glad you. I was like, he gonna hate me. We gonna fight. No, God, I'm so glad you said it. Let me let you cook.
There are so many good turtle designs out there. My favorites, for those who are wondering, 2003 IDW comics. It doesn't end there, but there are some turtle designs that just like, dude, I gotta be honest, like they're just stupid. And I'm not trying to be mean. Like the 2012 ones, I know people write in anytime I talk about 2012, like, you're Maddie, but it's good though. It's like that shit is a legitimate eyesore. And this movie is no different. Like, I get it. They're like, they're in this awkward teenage phase. Dude, to think about, and I'm not even an old head, but to think about where these started with comics, like super gritty, and just how it got watered down. Thank God I got something to balance this out with later in the What We're Playing section. We'll talk about that. But like, that's the thing that's holding me back, because the Turtles were always a super mature comic book character series that did get melded into the mainstream a bit, which is fine. But you get stuff like this where I look at it, I'm like, yeah, the game looks kind of all right, but like these turtles make me sick to my stomach. Like they got braces, gaps in their teeth, like they got forearms thinner than my own. Like they look mad doofy. I'm like,
yo, it's funny you said.
I'm like, someone got paid to make this shit, man. Like this is what spearheaded a movie. It's why call me closed-minded. I've heard good things about the movie. I want to check it out, but it's so low on my priority list because like I can only stomach it so much. I was like, I looked at it, I was like, not even me, bro. No, like I love Ninja Turtles more than most people, but like it's gonna be a rainy day when I catch that. And so that's where I am with this trailer. Like what I saw, what I read, I'll get the press release in a second here. What I saw, what I read, I was like, all right, like there's some elements here that look kind of good, look kind of nice, but like then I looked at the turtle designs. I'm really struggling here.
He looked at them turtles. He was like,
So what do you make of this TMNT game and what was shown off here?
Yeah, man. Again, I was like, he gonna be bad with me. I know how much he loved turtles, but I had similar thoughts because at first I'm watching it and I'm like, from a core gameplay, I like what I'm seeing, right? Like, the combat looks good, the engine looks decent, and I was just like, okay, they're doing turtle stuff. Obviously, they're grinding and doing all this extra little stuff. Okay, cool. You add in personality, but they have chosen to go this very distinct art style of this kind of. We're gonna put them as like puberty turtles or something. I don't know what's going on. They're in some type of transition, and to me, they look very sickly. They look like they're not healthy. Like somebody not feeding the turtles. Like you gotta look at my man. Like you said, the arms and stuff like that. There's no beef going on. What's happening? Yeah. Splinter's not feeding the turtles right now. I don't know what's happening. So
this is neglect.
Yes, they neglected right here. They are malnourished turtles. That's how they look to me. Then I'm with you 1000%. That I said, what is bothering me about this trailer? It's the teeth. Too much teeth, man. I don't want my turtles doing all this. Too much, man. Nah, don't be cheesing like this. I like when I don't get to see that aspect of turtles.
When they did like this one shot, they like went through all the turtles, and there was one. Raphael's my favorite turtle. This dude is a hothead, super serious. To see this dude buck teeth pounding his chest, I was like, yo, what the fuck? I was like, no way that they're doing it. So, yeah, bro, I'm really at odds with the game. I want to read real quickly, as long as you're done for a moment here.
Yeah, I'm good.
I got the press release up. There are some things here that this is why I'm like in the middle.
All right, what's the vision?
Discover who's behind this new threat causing unrest as players slide into the sewers and speed through the streets of New York in a variety of high-energy missions. Uniquely hone each of the turtles' abilities in a powerful new skill tree by racking up combat XP, and level up ally friendships to unlock new exciting locations to explore. Meet familiar faces like Master Splinter, April, Bebop, Rocksteady, and more. Pardon me, as players take control of the four masked heroes, each with their own unique combat playstyle. With an engaging, all-new storyline that follows the events of the movies, embark on an adrenaline-fueled adventure in a solo or up to two-player co-op. As the city declares a curfew, skate through the streets, grind on rails, and zip line between buildings amid a dynamic day and night cycle, which brings the colorful essence of New York to life. Players can discover an array of collectibles hidden across the graffitied city as they wreak havoc in dynamic brawls, dodge incoming trains, and immerse themselves in the gang's interactive world like never before. So I see stuff like that. I'm like, you know what, man? Like, there's some stuff here that, like, dynamic day and night cycle I've not seen in a Ninja Turtles game before. And I'm like, does that indicate this is like open levels to some extent or open zones? Like, how open-ended is this game? Like, I wonder. Also, like, the skill trees, the ally levels, the unlocking in new locations. I'm like, okay, like, something's here that's piquing my interest. So, yeah, like, I got a problem with those turtle designs, but yeah, it like some of the stuff they're saying on paper looks kind of all right. So,
yeah, look, we're willing to give it a shot. We're not really a fan of this particular art style and look, but like you said, what they seem to be wanting to accomplish seems to be cool. And from my understanding, local co-op, not online co-op.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, whatever, kind of thing. I will give them this. As much as I don't like it, I'm looking at, Michelangelo and I'm like, all right, he's got the boy. Like, to me, it's like they're really trying to dive into adolescent personalities. And, even though Don is my man, yes, he would theoretically be the guy with glasses, but I don't want to see glasses over the ninja bandana. That's another thing. I was like, I don't know how I feel. Yeah. Save that when you're in the house. Like, I don't want you fighting with the glasses on. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna be solving a problem, a technical problem while you would fight ninjas. Like, anyway, that's just me. Shout out to them for sticking to their vision. They're clearly going with this vision.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I get like the idea of like, oh, this is like the lower barrier of entry for like younger Turtle fans, but like we just can't keep pretending like this is not a franchise that's been around since the 80s and that there are fans like throughout half of their life that are still getting stuff fed to kids. It's like, yeah, there's a limit to that stuff. And I feel like what the vision in some pockets of TMNT games is like, oh, those fans are old enough now to have kids, and these are the games that they're going to buy for their kids. And I don't know if I agree with that vision entirely. So as for Blurry's question about, this pushback for gaming with Ninja Turtles, I mean, it's been pretty strong. Like you look at Shredder's Revenge, Cowabunga Collection, you get really terrible games like TMNT Arcade Wrath of the Mutants. Splintered Fate just came out this week. Now you got this game coming out later this year. There's probably going to be a volume 2 for the Cowabunga Collection because Konami did tease that there was going to be potentially some from the 2003 games getting re-released. Like it was a very light tease, but enough to suggest that they might do more. And that sold well, so I hope so, because those are like I still always say this. I mentioned this on an episode of Duke, you may remember, but they had a theme from one of the levels in the 2003 Ninja Turtles games as the main menu theme for Cowabunga Collection, which was a really weird, I feel like, Easter egg pointing to what they were going to do next. Yeah, super deep cut. Nice. It was like this. It was this. For those who are wondering, it's the Streets level in the 2003 beat 'em up, and they used that for the main menu. I was like, this is like the most random choice ever that you would just pick this out and put it here, but they did it nonetheless. So yeah, there's been a lot of games, man, and we know the last Ronin game is on the way from the developers of the Destroy All Humans remake. And I'll just say that the game we're going to talk about this week in Splintered Fate has taught me a little lesson in these TMNT developers that, look, you may look at that past catalog and may not be impressed, but might be able to put out something pretty damn good. So we'll learn with that. But what do you think about Ninja Turtles kind of crash onto the scene here, particularly in gaming with a lot of releases? Like we're seeing like 4 or 3 in the last year. Like it's been a lot.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see. Obviously, it's so dope because me and you have this synergy with this franchise, and obviously the age difference. I remember growing up with this, and I'm just like, yo, this is great. That theme song would ring in my head. That joke was hard. Like, so it was such a thing, and to see it last so long, and now resurge with gaming, right? Mm-hmm. And it just seems like this generational franchise. Like, it doesn't matter which demographic, people do resonate with it, right? It's something cool about it. So it's weird. You don't know why it makes sense, but it's just like, yo, I love it. So yeah, I think as far as, to Blurry's question, I still think that look, there's money to be made. Yeah. The base still wants it, and like maybe the parents are now passing down to the kids. There's still an appeal to these characters, and I like what they're doing with them.
Yeah, what I will say is during the 2012 era, no matter how good people tell me it is, I believe that, and I'll see for myself. But it did not lead to a resurgence. It didn't. Like, it just led to more milking of it. Like, there has never been anything attached to 2012 that has come out of, like, in the gaming space that's come out good. Like, they had 3 games and they were all positively terrible. And the last one was the TMNT arcade game. It's actually, I have a local arcade nearby I went to, and they had that piece of shit there. I was like, wow. So they ported that thing. By the way, same price as Splintered Fate, which just came out. And it's amazing that Game Mill had the balls to charge that much for it. It's amazing. So yeah, just to see the variety of content there. It's shocking. But I say all of that because the 2012 series never really gave birth to, I think, a renaissance. What did though was Last Ronin. Like that really led to people going like, oh, this is really good. And then in came the flux of new Turtles content, and then came the new Turtles hype. They were already working on things like Mutant Mayhem as a movie, which is cool and all. But this flux was really, in my opinion, of like people getting back into the Turtles, I think was spurred on by the Last Ronin, how you had Eastman and Laird getting back together for a story, and people would like turn their head. They're like, wait, them back together? Like, that's a huge deal. So
no, that's a good point, and good call out for the the dark period where there were the cheap, lazy ports and the movie tie-in stuff
Yeah,
and
it was
just
bad.
low effort stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about that period. Good point.
Yeah, so it's only come recently. I think it's because there's a lot of good shit finally coming out for it, and shout out to Nickelodeon for hanging with it and getting. I give them props because they're giving people chances with the license all over the place, building up my hopes a little bit. Nickelodeon, watch out, watch
Hey
out! I
now.
might have a pitch for you one day, but
Hey now.
yeah. Oh, bro,
Let's get
I'll
it.
say it right now, like 100%. That's like on my list. Like
Speak it into universe, guy.
yeah, like it's something I definitely want to do. So we'll go back to this moment here one day, hopefully. But yeah, like I like that they're doing kind of what Lucasfilm is doing and just letting different developers with different specialties try different things. And so I'm hoping that it leads to continuous like new fun TMNT content. And so here's hoping one day we do get that AAA TMNT game. That's the one thing we're really missing. All right, Cog, that news was all for me. This one, all for you. Yakuza developer RGG has confirmed they are announcing their next game at the Tokyo Game Show. Last we heard about it, we talked about it last week, said it was something very strange. I'm wondering, Cock, do you think it's Yakuza 9 already? I was reminded by a Retro Rebound viewer of a Yakuza game called Dead Souls, and I was like, that would be strange, wouldn't it? I wonder if they're going to bring that back. That could be a very strange, surprising announcement. But what do you think is the next game announced? Is it another Judgment game? What's coming from RGG?
You are teasing, man. This is good news. It's breaking my heart only at a personal level because this was the year we were going to try initially to go to Tokyo Game Show. I'm like, damn, this has been a one for me, man. They're announcing a new RGG joint, you know what I mean? So that part's a little sad, but look, I'm glad it's coming. It's got to be something big because the way they are teasing right now is just. I've been following the account, the RGG account. There's been rumors. Some people are like, hey, maybe it's a Kiwami. Like, there's
they
that.
said there wasn't a Kiwami 3, right? They said that a while ago.
Right. I know they said that, but it's like, so people are like, what are they going to do? And then, like, you made a good point earlier, like, the Judgment universe is still out there, right? From my understanding, things still going on, Kamurocho and all that stuff. Man, there's so many ways they can go with it. But look, I can't wait. I'm telling you right now. And then obviously we know that what is it? They have was it film or movie or TV series with Like a Dragon that's been signed up. They are the beautiful thing about this. They are truly committing to the franchise, starting to see the popularity. And I think they've got something cooking. But they definitely the vibe I'm getting, they're trying to spin the series on its head in some fashion. I just don't know what yet. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's got to be Judgment 3. Like, that's the sensible one. We've gotten a lot. You got the Yakuza spinoff at the end of last year, and a man erased his name. You got the mainline entry this year. I think it's too soon to have some more Yakuza. In fact, I think it would be, this is coming from me, I think it would be bad, though, to say that there's, like, another Yakuza game to announce. Like, I think you give it, after the mainline entry, like, you give it the rest of the year at least. Like, hearing something in 2025, give it me all day. Like, sure. But I think there needs to be a little break to be like, hey, we're switching gears to this now.
No, that's a good point because you don't want to get franchise fatigue as much. I'm on all day and Infinite Wealth. You got to get on that, bro. Like that.
Well, I was talking to a friend about it last night because, like, right now, I'll talk about this in our What We're Playing section. Now that my Trails journey is wrapping up effectively, it's like, okay, I'm looking for the next kind of journey. I'm on one right now, but I'm also looking for, like, I'm not always going to be on this game 24/7. Like, what's the single player journey going to look like? And so I was talking to him. I was like, maybe do Yakuza again. Like, I haven't played 0, but I did Kiwami 1 and 2. I remember them both pretty well, but like at that point, I might just end up replaying them because I fucking love Kiwami 1. So yeah, like that's one that I want to do. But like at this point, like I'm in the mindset of like I don't want to just jump into Infinite Wealth. Like I want to work my whole way.
You want to go through the whole thing. You like my man Harky. He will approve of the way you're doing it.
I've completely fallen in love with the journey of gaming. It's a very special thing. And experiencing with Trails and now the game I'm on here, there's an excitement of like, this is going to be home for a while. And I want to have that with Yakuza too. Or as I should say, Yakuza as well. So I think that's how I'm going to approach it. But yeah, I do look at Infinite Wealth with like excitement. Like I do, it is upsetting. I'm missing it this year, but you know, I am very excited to finally get to it eventually. I would just say in my Yakuza replays, I mean this completely seriously. I am not replaying Like a Dragon. I am not replaying that game. That was not getting touched again, bro.
Man, we just improving our friendship. You have to bring up the sore spot again.
Look, I'm saying
over this.
I was just saying, hey, bro, infinite wealth. Come on, come here. Like I'll take that all day. Yeah, but look, bro, it's not even an Ichiban with Infinite Wealth. It's just the balancing, that final boss. Like maybe I'll go back and clean him up and just give him his just desserts. Like maybe I'll do that, but
I never gave my man a fair shot. You came in there kicking and scratch. We ain't gonna do this again. We ain't gonna fight again. We gonna move on. But what I wanted to do is bring up my homie Gene from LordsGaming.net. He's a huge Yakuza fan. He goes to Tokyo. He he lives and breathes. So this is his thoughts, and I want to read his tweet because he's usually on the ball with this kind of stuff. So he said, "I've said this before because this is what the announcement. Hey, RGG is going to reveal the next game from the Like a Dragon series, right?" So he says, "I've said this before, but my guess is that it's some combination of Kiwami 3 and Yakuza 9, and whatever they do with the straight up action games." Like Judgment and Like a Dragon, The Man Who Erased His Name. Because it kind of makes sense in the sense of they usually do a palette switch. They don't usually go turn-based, then they'll beat them up turn-based. So it does feel like the straight up action game's turn now because Infinite Wealth just did turn-based, right? So he says, I think they continue to do all three. He has no idea which would come first. And his advice, he's always yelling at me, play Judgment and Judgment 2. I still got to get on the Judgment series. I have not done the Judgment.
Yeah, Judgment's really good, bro. Judgment, I haven't played Lost Judgment, which for those who don't know is the sequel, but I've heard really good things. Judgment 1, though, is like awesome stuff, bro. Really good story. But I've heard the second one's better. Like people think the second one's really good. Wow. Yeah, I think I got it in my collection. I'm not sure, though. I know I got the first one, but the second one, I don't know if I have, but I've been wanting to play that, and I gotta stay focused though. I can't like I know there's so many good things to play right now, and like that RGG world is just like waiting for me because then there's spinoffs. Like you want to try out Ishin, right? Like that looks very fun and different. I want to try that. Like I heard about Dead Souls. I'm like kind of want to see what that's about. So yeah, man, I love the journey a little too much. That's what I'm learning. The odyssey into these big franchises is just so tantalizing to me because like you get to see these characters grow in ways that just other franchises don't, and that's what makes them special. Absolutely. Any more thoughts on Yakuza or what RGG's up to?
I'm excited, man. TGS, man. I'm dying to see what the announcement is. And that's right. I have other interests because of the fantasy Rebel to Duke fantasy football. I made like a very bold. I can lose a lot if my thing does not happen.
Oh, girl, my draft's looking awful this year. I remember feeling good about it, but I guess I just don't have an eye for this stuff because it's looking really bad right now. For those who want to know, Tokyo Game Show September 26th, so you can look out for that in the next couple of months with an announcement of sorts. All right, Cog. Next up here. A sequel to Aliens Fireteam Elite has leaked. Documents citing Project Macondo is leaked online. The game is described as a sequel to Aliens Fireteam Elite. Will feature new modes like Annihilation, which is a spin on your typical Horde mode, apparently. The sequel will feature preset character archetypes and non-customizable characters and will also be avoiding any microtransactions of any kind within the game, which is planned to release Q3 2025. For those who don't remember, Aliens Fireteam Elite was a day one. I think it was day one. It did go into Game Pass, though.
Yeah, it did go to Game Pass.
Yeah, it was in Game Pass. It was the 3-player co-op horde shooter in the Aliens world. And as someone who watched Alien for the first time a couple of weeks ago, bro, I am more excited for this than normally I would be because, like, I want to watch Aliens. I think I want to watch that sometime next month because we have Romulus coming out. But I love the world of Alien a ton. I just love how I didn't realize the retro future artistic style really spawned from that movie. And like Bethesda Game Studios borrows that a shit ton in both Starfield and Fallout especially. So it was really cool to see all that. I mean, I should say, no, it was more so Starfield than Fallout. But yeah, to see they're doing a sequel for it was kind of surprising. I didn't know it did that well to justify a sequel, but good to see. Have you played Aliens Fireteam Elite? Are you excited for a potential sequel?
Yeah, I played the first one. It was okay to me. I wasn't like, wow, like I was like, oh my God. But as a fan of the universe, as a fan of the films, I'm just like, okay, they got something. I love horde modes also as well. So, look, I'm willing to give the second one a shot. I played, 3-player with the homies. They were, we were trying to rock out, teach the abilities and how the basic gameplay loop goes. like I said, it felt okay. I felt it was like an above average kind of shooter.
A nice, comfortable 7.
Yeah, but nothing I was like, yo, I'm going to stop everything and continue to play this. After I had my fill, I'm like, all right, I'm good. You know, I kind of got an idea of it. But yeah, I am surprised we are getting part 2. So I get the sense that, yeah, maybe they did well, and there's more stuff that they got on the floor that they're willing to give us. So we'll see.
Agreed. Yeah, I like that they're still, because if they're focusing on horde mode and co-op, no microtransactions, good to see. But yeah, glad to see it sold well enough to justify a sequel. Last bit of news here, Cog, and we'll get into what we're playing. That's a fun one. Deadpool controller revealed for the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which is coming out very soon. This has Deadpool's ass on the back of it. And it's part of a contest that you can get involved in. It's so funny. Xbox has all these like out-of-pocket, awesome custom consoles and controllers that are always part of contests. And I'm like, imagine you just limit it. Put 150 out there, right? You guys do like every other scheme, but then you get something like this where you got a man's ass there and you couldn't cash in. Come on. I feel like this sells itself. I would have bought one of these instantly.
We know your boy Nicky V would have bought. Yo, last week they was like, free Nicky V. You didn't want to read the final thing.
I'm not freeing that man. That man's getting caged up. I'll read everything but his outro.
This is up his alley right here. Yeah. This is up his alley right here. We got the Deadpool BBL controller. Wow. Okay. Listen, you can't say this about the Xbox controller team. Whoever's down with that marketing and controller team, they deserve a raise because no one markets controllers better than Xbox.
Even in the face of shutting down studios, right? Like, feel the burn. They
remember they was too quick.
Yeah, they were on it, bro. It's so funny because like we make fun of the rap guy, but then the controller guy is just doing a great job. Like, you know, the rap guy.
Yeah, we don't want to see him.
Yeah, we don't want to see rap guy. All right, Cog. Let's shift gears away from the news. Let's focus on what games we're playing. We both got an interesting stack of games here, Cog. This first one I want to hear for you. We do have a write-in about I blame Quentin Tarantino for my foot fetish, writes in.
Hey, yo.
Thank you for sharing that. Howdy, Dukes. Will you guys be checking out EA Sports College Football? The Dynasty mode is excellent and really makes you feel like a college football coach. I finished Sekiro on my PS Portal with 10 vitality and 12 damage kind of day. What a flex. All right, Quentin. All right. Cog, your first game here. I see it's in line with what Mr. Tarantino wrote in about, so let's hear about it. How are we feeling about this game? And do we know where all the attention from Madden has been going these past couple of years? Let's see. What's the feel? I'm so excited to get your thoughts on this, dude. You are the football game guy. You stood up there on a stage and talked about how bad Madden is. You've also stood up on a stage and talked about how good games like NFL 2K5 are. So like, you are the football guru. I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Very excited. So fire away.
This is very torn here.
Okay.
As you stated, you know, obviously for the realm of the Dukes, LSM family, I got on that stage and told y'all EA Madden is the most overrated game of all time. This is a game I love with my soul when it first came out. I'm the guy that had the Genesis cartridge, green box with the yellow tab, the first ever Madden on console. And I'm like, man, this is it. I'm the boom. It's in the game. Like I'm that guy, right? So being how they destroyed this franchise, and the over-analyzation, the minimal features, you know, where a game like an NFL 2K5 to this day still has better AI and offensive, defensive line interactions, quarterback play, and the like. To this day, that the main EA mainline Madden, you know, has regressed that bad. So, look, here's another full disclosure. I never went to a big school, right? So I used to play the college football games and stuff, but I don't have that level of passion and association.
Same.
So I understand for everyone else, this is a nostalgic moment. Like, it's been over a decade since we've got a college football game, right? So at first, in my mind, man, I'm like, I'm staying away from this. This is a cash grab, most likely, you know, whatever. So then I start seeing the reports coming in and people are like, oh, it's kind of fire, bro. Like, it's kind of thing. And I'm like, all right. Then I'm seeing the engagement. And I'm like, bro, it's in like just the pre-order phase kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, I'm not giving EA that money. No, not. They got to earn your trust back. And here's the beauty of Game Pass. I was like, oh yeah, Ultimate, I get EA Play, you get the 10-hour trial. Let's see what the hype is about. So I said, you know what, let me do like a big school rivalry. Shout out to Hogue Law, my man Gaming Forte. Pick the Wolverines. I said, let me pick Michigan Wolverines, do it like an Ohio State game. So first off the bat, the presentation is really nice. They got the sounds, the ambiance of the college experience. So I know that damn hail to the I know. I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing it. All right. It's a thing. If you've been to the school, even when they lead up and dudes touching banners and all the little, I'm like, okay, nice. Nitpick. They got to work on their crowd models, though. The game, when they going through the joint, fire. Crowd models, everybody kind of stick figured the frame a little in the crowd when you focus on them for a second. But other than that, the on-field, the atmosphere. Then they had this thing while you're playing the game. I'm playing Michigan at home. The crowd, there's like this tension meter, like letting you know the difficulty of how it is to play on this actual field with this fan base home reaction, and it affects the plays on the sense of like when you hold, usually in most Madden games pre-snap, because I tell Madden all the people that don't play Madden. Madden's a turn-based game. Madden is a turn-based game in its purest form.
So funny to think of it that way.
You know what I'm saying? If you think about it, it's your goal, my goal. We pick at the same time, and then we figure out what happens. Now, you have some level of manual control, but the thing is, you hold down right trigger, you get your pre-snap reads. If you're the opposing team, things are shaking. It's harder to read because they're trying to simulate how tough it is. Now, this is where I got to give the game its kudos. As a person who's played Madden for years, one of the worst things that happens is when you throw the ball to someone or you receive the balls running back, there's this delay where you don't have control and you're just dealing with the animations of the game before you can take back control and go on. And usually these are kind of slow and plodding animations and slow. The first thing I noticed off the bat, as soon as I hiked the ball to the running back, the immediate control, the immediate speed, the less latency, the input, amazing. And here's the guys, for guys who like to run, the running game is the best I've ever seen in a football in Madden. And like, bro, I don't know what they did to the offensive line play. I could see the holes, go behind make my reads. I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm talking about from running the football. Then I'm like, all right, let's see how the passing game was improved. Bro, very well done. Like the speedster speed. And then everything, here's the thing. Defense, I still feel is the weakness of the game a little bit. I feel the offensive players are, like, put it this way. When you hike, they have stars on all the play. They let you know who the star players are. And some of these guys are extremely dominant, kind of thing. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. But the thing about it that I like is everything with the right analog play from on defense. If you're on the defensive line, you're trying to press. The game is very good at giving you pre-snap, in-game, almost arcade-like hits. Okay, you know what? If you're trying to get past the offensive lineman, press the right analog just to shed the block. Press up on to bull rush. Like they're giving you the game within the game, the trenches stuff, and it's very well done explaining to a new person who hasn't really played Madden. They had a whole bunch of mini games. I didn't get too deep with the Dynasty mode and stuff like that. Bro, look, first impression, extremely solid. To your point, it feels like all the resource and development has gone to this as far as transfer. It feels completely different from Madden in the sense of the core gameplay loop and mechanics. The field goal system is a little touchy, you know what I'm saying? But as far as everything else, yeah, very impressed. Very impressed. So again, we gotta let it marinate. The other thing here's the worry. We know this thing's selling, it's going to do ridiculous numbers for them. My only fear is once they have this and we get into an annualization cycle, and now it's college football 2026, how innovative you are going to be because you've had all this time to put into the college experience. And now I'm going to be real mad at guys looking like this, like, yo, how come my joint don't play like this? And especially guys that like RPO, which is a run pass option, which is big thing in college. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. So is it perfect? No, but it's damn good. So
have you done some of the I saw a reel on Instagram. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. I saw a reel though that got recommended, a guy playing the game, and he was like in a dynasty mode or something, and he was getting texts, and he got blocked by a girl that he was texting. And I was like, is this actually a feature in the game? Like, can you get texts from people and like go to parties and stuff? Like, what is this?
That's the next portion. I'm just doing the core game experience. I haven't done the Dynasty mode. I haven't done all these other cool modes that people are raving about. I just want to make sure from a core game, is it good? Because this, to me, it's all about how football is a feel thing. And lately, EA has lost their way. But this, it does feel the time. It was one of the most fun experiences, I have to admit.
They'd be dangerous if they get to start nailing their sports games with the stuff they're putting out for single player. That'd be really dangerous.
And I think this is EA Tiberian. I think this is, bro. They had time to cook. I'm, like I said, very impressed. Probably next time we do. I'm gonna go through all the modes because again, I came in there looking to hate. I'm gonna be real. I came in there like, dudes just getting emotional. It's nostalgia. Y'all happy? A college game is bad. Oh no. This is that. So yeah, shout out to College Football 25. Early impressions very strong. Plus, we got to wait for all the other online modes to kick in for me to have more of a complete review on the other things, the head-to-head play. How messy is that? Is that up to snuff kind of thing? I'm just talking about. I just did a single player core experiences about 2 or 3 teams. I'm gonna take your Boilermakers next. I was thinking about this. I should have taken Boilermakers. I want to see how I've been to West Lafayette. That's the only college game I've ever been to. It was West Lafayette. My boy is a Boilermaker. He said, bro, you NFL dude. You don't know nothing until you go to the college experience. I was like, all right, you're talking a lot. All right, let's see. So I go out there. Game day was dope. Everybody's had their little. I go for Purdue unis are sick.
That's as a kid, it was that and the train logo.
It speaks to me. I'm like, all right, cool, boiler up, all right. Yeah. And then we were playing Ohio State, which is is a big time matchup, rivalry game kind of thing. And the game denotes that. That's what I like. The game denotes the big rivalries depending on conference and the Big Ten and stuff like that. I think there is some discrepancy with Colorado for the guys that like Colorado because I think they're rated very high. I think that's where Deion Sanders with the coach. So like I'm watching the hardcore guys complain. How are these guys overall 89? They didn't do them. I love when the college dudes start beefing them. That's when you know the game is starting to get good and stuff. But yeah, so far really strong, man. So yeah, college football 25.
That's good to hear because I bought it for my brother for his birthday, and like, cause he was so into the college games that he went through a stretch, I think it was last summer or 2 summers ago, where he had like the PS3, the PS2, and he was just playing all of the old college games. Like he got all the way up to 13 where they stopped. And he was just like, yeah, like for those who don't know, one of the most expensive games you could buy on the PS3 and 360 was College Football 13, because that was the last one. It was like considered a relic. It was like, this will never be a thing again. They stopped college basketball in, I think, 2010. So I wonder if that'll come back as well. Like, yeah, there's some pockets there that have been unaddressed, but college sports are huge. They've grown a ton over the years. I just got really into professional football in the last 6-7 years. Actually, how long has it been? No, it's been 8 years. Holy shit. It's been more than that, but I've been into it for a decent amount, I guess, compared to what I thought it was. But college sports, I just struggle with because I don't have that connection that other people have. Like, it's just not something I feel for. Like, I went here, like, yeah, I want to see my team do well. It's like, I don't really have that at all. That's why I ended up being a Purdue fan. I was like, as a kid, that was the college I picked because I liked the logo and I just stuck with it. But I don't like paint my face and stuff. So that's why I was excited to get him it. But like, I was thinking about it for myself. Like, I don't know if I'll actually end up liking it. But what you're saying, bro, because they had time to cook. That's the thing. Like, right, this is not yet annualized. So this sounds like it's going to be like the cherished one. Like, this is the one that we're going to hang on to until like we get to College Football 29. It's like, yeah, now we've added enough throughout the years. We're like, Maddie, you can come back in. It's been a normal development cycle. We got all these things here. So it's interesting to hear what you had to say on that.
Yeah. I'm glad they were able to work things out as far as the players and stuff like that. They do say some names here and there, but yeah, they've worked it out. Now we're just gonna see how they update it. Now the second game is shout out to my man Ariel Knight. He made a game about 3 years ago called Never Yield, right? And it's a runner. You know what I'm saying? Brother out of Detroit, making its first game. It got into games with gold at one point, and I believe the Epic Game Store. So I'm going to be brutally honest with you, Maddie. I've never played a runner before. I didn't even know. I was embarrassed. I was like, I didn't even know what that was. I was like, is Sonic considered a runner? You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know what a runner game is. So literally the core gameplay mechanic is side scrolling and very simplistic. You know, it was kind of like, you know, up is to jump over obstacles, down to slide. But the thing that made Never Yield, the first one, so amazing. It's a vibe, bro. The music. It's a super chill, just side scroller. And he's got this, like, you could tell he's got a lot of anime style influences with his art style, you know what I'm saying? So that was Never Yield. We had him on ILP, debuted his first game, but it was Head Up Games was the publisher, I think, at the time. And I remember playing the trailer for our audience, and they were like, yo, this is a vibe. So again, it's very low lift. So now he's up, you know, to the sequel. So I'm like, let me see what he's doing. And obviously, it's called We Never Yield. So basically what has happened now, the protagonist from the first game, I believe his name is Wally, and the boss of the first game, I forgot his name, Lone, is now working together. And now he's added co-op to the game. So I'm like, how is this going to work? So I'm like, all right, fire it up. Let's see what's going on. Now, a little nitpick, Aaron, I love you, but I got to give you a little feedback. I still feel the music from the first game is better. He's going now for this more medieval, Afro-centric kind of vibe. And that's cool. But the first game, and I love whoever's doing his man name. I think his name is Daniel Wilkins. This guy, like, I got the vinyl for We Never Yield. I bought I was like, this is one of the best soundtracks I have ever heard. Damn. So, I mean, for the first one, for Never Yield, the first one. We Never Yield, I got to listen to all. He still got some joints, but I'm a little biased towards the first one. So here's the thing. How's this going to work? So now what it is you have the protagonist, Wally, and then I think in the foreground, and in the background, you have Lone, or whatever the guy's name is, in the, background. They're running together. So at first the game is real cute with you and nice, you know, same thing, up on a direction. You can control each individually. So basically the directional pad was one guy, and then the 4 buttons is the other guy, right, in the background. So while they're doing this, the thing that he's added now in conjunction is you can now attack and smash through obstacles while you're running, right? That's like to the side. And then they also has like this super move where like, if you guys build up this meter during a period of time, because basically it's one hit and death. You hit a wall, you're dead. So it's one of those things to test your skills and to do it with fast and speed and repetition, that kind of thing. So the thing where it got real though, game starts a little fairly. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. You know, I'm controlling them, making them jump at the same time, slide underneath at the same time, rush through things. All right, cool, easy. Man, the thing he started putting, all right, you in the background, you got to jump, but in the foreground, you got to slide. So now it's muscle memory. You have to control each individually. And it's an extra level of complexity that I'm like, whoa, I wasn't ready for this. Is kind of challenging, but in a good way. So I'm like, all right. Now, the also thing he did is if you don't want to do that, you can play it. It's called, he has chill mode where you can play just one player. You don't have to do any of that. And I think if you do 2 players, you could do local co-op, one with a directional pad, one with a thing. So look, early, he's got some stuff. There's like a rest area between stages with it. He's got a little voice now, a little story. I was surprised he did all this. I was like, usually runners, the first game, everybody was kind of mute, but it was cinematics. You just understood what was going on. It's this futuristic version of Detroit, animate levels kind of thing. But now he's trying to actually play around with a little story. It's still a little low level. I ain't gonna sit there and say it's nothing crazy, but you can see the improvement, you know, kind of thing. And you could tell definitely he stepped his game up. So look, you know, we got to give it our impressions review. My impressions right now are pretty cool. I will give some feedback on the transition. Sometimes with the camera's a little rough sometimes, you know, so I'm going to give him some feedback there. But if you've liked runners, or you've never played a runner, which was my situation coming into, and I'm embarrassed, it's a game I've never played what is considered a true runner, a style game. Give We Never Yield a shot, man. It's outright like $10, man, like $12, $15.
First one's like a couple bucks too.
Yeah, and I think you can get them for free, the first one. You can get the first one on Epic Game Store if you're on PC, or it's Games with Gold for the Xbox guys.
Oh, perfect.
He got a Games with Gold bag. I was very proud. I was like, wow, that's impressive. So yeah, give it a shot. And if you like to, again, just something chill, it's a vibe, it's simple, it's easy, just get in, play, kill some time, low lift, definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. Very interesting grab bag of games you got here. I'm in a similar spot. I started this past week Final Fantasy 14. Now, some people might look at me crazy, like, Maddie, you're playing one of the biggest MMO commitments at the same time as finishing up your Trails journey. But here's what I kind of decided with Final Fantasy 14, right? I was looking for the perfect time to start this. And I think I said a little bit of this last week. Like, I've been looking for this right time to start it. You know, make sure the schedule is clear. And I did say this. Yeah, every time I sat down, I thought, no, not yet. Like, I need more time. And I just realized, like, there's not going to be a right time. There's no quick way through hundreds of hours of content. Like, you just got to chip away at it and no rush. Like, not that I would rush it, but like, there's no quick way around this. So once I went through that acceptance phase, download the free trial, because my buddy was telling me, like, hey, base game plus 2 expansions free, no rush. Like, you're not on a timer or anything. Once you finish those, that's when the payments start. But by that point, you're so in. You got 3 expansions, which is a lot of content, but like at that point, I think I'll know if I'm ready to commit or not. So I started it up. I am playing as the human race. I basically recreated Lightning, and because she's one of my favorite MCs in Final Fantasy, and I just wanted to, like, when I first tried this game, I played as like the Elven race, and my character was like so much bigger than everyone else. It was really awkward looking. They got some awkward races, because then they got the Lalafels, which are these like short little dudes that got like the most powerful walk on planet Earth. But like, I was like, if I want to take this story seriously, I can't be walking around as a Lalafell. But there are people who love the Lalafels, and like, they're hilarious. They're a great race, but just like not who I want to play as. So I went with just a human for the first time in ages. Like, I just went like, let me go standard human looking character. And Realm Reborn is really, for those who are Trails fans out there, I would equivalent it to the world building story, right? So Sky FC. What I mean by that is, like, Realm Reborn is really focused on, you've got all these nations. Like, when you build your character, you start in one of these nations, and they're all kind of isolated, focusing inward. And over time, you learn that there was this big battle with the Warriors of Light. They've all died. And what's interesting to learn is that story that they're talking about, this past event, was actually Final Fantasy 14, like the original, because you know how the game was reborn. And so they kind of made the tearing down of the old MMO lore in a way. Like, the story that happened there is the lore and the backdrop to this whole new thing that's now massively successful, which was really cool to see. But this base game, you know, I heard mixed things on it. Like, some people are like, it's a good 7 out of 10. Some people are like, it's such a slog. Last time I did it, I really struggled getting through it. But what I did was, anytime I played it, I decided, like, I'm just going to commit to the story in a way where I'm going to hone in and not be in like Discord or anything. Like, I'm just going to play it and focus and see how I take to it that way when I'm giving it all my attention. And I've been really surprisingly enjoying it. Like, I've really liked seeing how these nations that once worked together have gone their separate ways. And now this Garlean force, which is basically like this game's version of the Empire, is growing, and like, they all need to come back together again. The way you come back together is through like a ceremony to celebrate the fallen from that big battle. There's a lot of fetch quest stuff in the middle of that, but it's an MMO, so you kind of know that's going to be part of the territory. But overall, the story and the world they're building, like, I'm more interested in it than I ever have been, which is really good. I am playing as I believe it's pronounced Pugilist, the hand-to-hand combat class. And I have been surprised with how the depth of the combat has kind of snuck up on me a little bit. At first, it's your typical, I call it hotkey combat for an MMO, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, ability, chain these together. And, you know, Final Fantasy does that, but then maybe it's like 1, 7, 2, like 1, 7. And like, based on certain situations you're in, it's like, oh, I got a lot of enemies around me. So like 1, and then control 2 and like do a ground pound and like hit a ton of enemies around me, and then finish it up with like demolish, where I just single target a character and do a ton of damage. All of these 1, 2, 3s just chained together. Because the first time I played, I was Dragoon, and I wasn't really in love with that class. But this Pugilist class, I am having a lot of fun with. Like, it's really mobile, doing damage. It doesn't fit Lightning at all as a character. Like, at first I was going to do like really true to her and be like a gladiator kind of. I was like, no, like, let me do what I think is going to be fun. And I'm glad I went with this. Like, it's a really good time. So I've been enjoying the combat, seeing how it's expanding. I've been enjoying the world. Music is great. It's been a really good time, and I'm just kind of settling in now. So I heard it's like 180 quests long, and I think I'm on like I'm like 30 something deep, something like that. So not that far in, but just chipping away and just, like for example, tonight, like I don't really feel like playing Realm Reborn, and that's okay. Cause it's like, I just played it for like 3 nights straight. Like I'm going to go play something else now. And that's like the pressure I've stepped away from with the game is like, I love what they've done with the free trial because this game would have been too intimidating to take on for me otherwise. Because when you have that payment attached to it, or like, oh, I only got 30 days, I got to get through, like, then you feel that pressure of like, I shouldn't play this. Like, I got to get on Final Fantasy 14. I like that Square is like, hey, just like once you finish all this content, then we're going to want your money. All right. So free trial only goes for so long, but enough where I can kind of tackle it at my own pace. And that's really good to see. They've changed how pacing with leveling up works. So I'm already level 31 now. Okay. And that's after, like I said, I think I've played 3 or 4 nights for a couple hours
Putting in that work.
Yeah. Like I've just been kind of like, when I feel like it and when I want to chip away at it, like it's been also good for like, I wrapped up a long day of work. Sometimes like when I get like a really big day of work, like I might not finish till like close to midnight and I just want to decompress with something. At those times is when I have the hardest time diving into something single player. And so this has been great for that. Like, okay, I got like 2 hours. It's the middle of the night.
Yep.
I'm going to hop into this MMO. And like, I'm guessing that's what you feel with Destiny,
Bro,
where it's like,
you literally spoke to my soul of why that's literally Destiny. Cause I'm like, damn, there's sometimes I just don't want the emotional commitment of a single player game. And I just need to kind of zone out, go at my own place in this kind of MMO kind of style game. And it's therapeutic for me, bro. It really is. And it's always late because you don't have enough time and you don't want to be up too late playing a single player with
it. Because if it's single player hooks you, then you're going to make a bad life decision. Like MMO, I can just be like, let me finish up this quest. I got progress. That's enough for tonight. So having that in my life is kind of nice because originally I would just hop on Discord and talk to my friends for like an hour or two and do really nothing and just chill there. And I guess I could fire up a single player game, but I don't like sitting down in my head knowing like I'm starting up this story that I'm going to put down like really quickly because I like to know I got that cushion to kind of lean into it if I want to gain some momentum with it. Absolutely. So this has been good for that. So I've been enjoying it a lot. I'll continue to update everyone as I progress along. But the main game I really wanted to talk about this week, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, just came out on the Nintendo Switch. It was originally an Apple Arcade title. When it was announced, it was a roguelike TMNT game. And when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I think I'm all right. Because I'm not like phone game, roguelike. Like it just screamed to me like, we're kind of literally phoning it in on something here. And as it got closer to release, I watched a couple of reviews and a lot of people were like, this is really good. Like, this isn't just a good game. This is like TMNT Hades.
Like the design.
Yeah. IDW comic book characters. Yeah. Yes. One of my favorites. And so that was part of it. I was like, that's what got me in. It's a huge part of it. The voice. There is no series I am more critical of when it comes to visuals and especially voice than Ninja Turtles. If the voices in Ninja Turtles suck, it's like the one series I get like really pretentious and turned off about. I'm like, nah, you're not sounding right. Like this, I won't play as that turtle. Sorry. They got the voices down right. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I download this game after seeing the reviews of people saying like, this is really good. And I'm going in expecting like, okay, y'all are going to call this TMNT Hades.
That's big.
That's big. Like Hades, that's my desk mat right now. Like I love Hades. Like that's the GOAT roguelike game right now. I have not played Hades 2 yet, so I don't know how it compares. But Hades had really good progression in both its permanence. Like here are the things that stick with you per run. And here are the temporary things that go with you per run, plus a weapon suite and the story progression being good per run. I'm like, if we got a Ninja Turtle game like that, I might have to lose my shit on this. So I played it for like 5 hours today, bro. And I love this game. I think this might be the best ever Ninja Turtle game.
Whoa, wait.
No, I'm serious. Bro. Here's the thing.
You're doing this. Okay.
4 years. And I'm going to have to drag some favorites in the process here for people to get my point. All right. So I'm putting I'm putting TMNT Turtles in Time in a headlock here. I'm pulling them in. I'm pulling Shredder's Revenge in. We're going to have a talk. All right. So there's a lot of love for these types of Ninja Turtle games. As someone who also grew up with all of them, I don't want to hear this age thing from any of y'all. I grew up with Turtles in Time. I was introduced to it at a very young age. Like, I played the arcade games, the NES games. Like, I have been there. All right. So this is not, Maddie being a youngin here. When it comes to TMNT, the DNA has always and forever been beat 'em up. Beat 'em up, beat 'em up. Arcade style combat. So when a game like Shredder's Revenge comes around, which is to me like a Dream Country style game, like TMNT Turtles in Time for the modern age. Like, I think of the children getting into it and like what that means for them, like what Turtles in Time meant for me and many others out there. Like, that's a beautiful thing. And for those who love Turtles in Time, like, that was for us too, as much as it was for the newer generation. I haven't played Anniversary Edition yet, by the way, so I got to try all the new content. But, that was like a beautiful video game from that angle. However, as I said in my reviews and when I talked about it, there was this air of familiarity to it. Like, I have seen this before. And when you look at other TMNT games, the 07 movie, the 03 series, like, they're all tie-in, beat-em-up games that are like lower budget. They're not very good, objectively speaking. Like, I say this as a huge fan. The 2012 stretch of games speak for themselves. They're awful. There was Out of the Shadows, which was like the only attempt at an Arkham-style TMNT game. It was an Xbox arcade game, and I think it had charm, but it was definitely lacking a ton of polish. It needed like another year easily, and it got rushed out, and now it's delisted. So, in my opinion, the Ninja Turtles have not had this storied history in video game outside of Turtles in Time, and Turtles in Time basically got. Every game was just trying to be Turtles in Time. Like, here's the camera angle. You're going to run through this area. You're going to go through this point in time. You're going to fight Shredder in the Technodrome. How many motherfucking times do I have to do that, bro? What's the most beautiful thing about Splintered Fate that I can say right now is like, oh, I've never played a TMNT game like this. And that's big reason why it might be my favorite TMNT game ever. It is legitimately great. Not only in its gameplay, which I'll get into, but dude, the story is actually good because they have these moments of endearment and character building. So like, you'll finish a run and you'll lose the Karai. And let's say I'm playing as like Michelangelo. I showed it in my review if anyone wants to hear the clip. But like, I'll sit down and talk to Master Splinter, who's like disappeared. And you're like talking to a spirit of him. You're not sure like where he went, what happened to him. And you'd be like, hey, Sensei, like, I really miss you. And when I lost the Karai, like, I'm feeling not myself right now. Like, I don't think I'm strong enough. And like the back and forth between these characters is just not something we see in video games. Like, we see that stuff in comics, but we don't see it in video games. And that's what's been missing is like, it's all these Ninja Turtle games have been emulations of like past things. Like Turtles in Time was amazing because it was forward thinking for its time. And then everyone went like, yeah, that every time. True. Even some of the recent goats, like Shredder's Revenge, they look, that. It's like,
that's,
it's like, yeah, of course, like Dotemu, like getting in on that. Of course, like we want that from them. But Splintered Fate feels different. It does progress like Hades. You go through these runs, more characters appear in the TMNT lair, and they're going to have things to say, bits to share, story's going to move forward. You're going to kind of unpack this mystery of like, where did Master Splinter go? Is the Shredder truly behind it? You get to play as all four turtles. Donatello's slower, but it's got range. Raphael's critical chance focused. Leonardo's kind of jack of all trades. And then Michelangelo's like speed and multi-hit. So like he'll hit you once and it'll go like whap, whap. Like he'll hit him twice. And so he's more attack speed. And each of them feel and play totally different, dude. And they feel really good to get around as you go through these, as you would in any roguelike, you go from room to room, you get upgrades. Like you'll get elements that like, hey, at the end of your combo, summon 2 lightning bolts to hit nearby enemies, or stack some ooze on an enemy and like do damage over time, or dash through an enemy and leave a fire trail behind, or like, et cetera, et cetera. There are so many build combinations and it's really good. Like I came up with this one insane build for Raphael where I stacked adrenaline, which is a skill that like, hey, if you're attacking an enemy and you kill them, you get like a bonus of 5% damage for 5 seconds. And if you do it again, then you go up to 10%. And so I combined that with rage, which is like, oh, your health is below 50%, 35% damage boost, plus like another one where I was like stacking damage for my special attacks. And you put that all together and I was deleting people. I was deleting them off the screen. I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this. I was like, this is so much fucking fun. Like I was having a blast with it. it's legitimately difficult too. Like the first run, like I think there's like 4 or 5 areas in the game, but like the first run, I get to the second area, the boss of the second area. I'm like, okay, like this is good. This is really good, but maybe it's a little easy. Bro, they pour it on. They scale that difficulty. Like, oh, you leveled up. It's not going to be that easy now. Like it's they go up with you. So like when you finish these runs, you spend dragon coins, and they're basically those are your like permanent upgrades. Like, okay, you're gonna get your health up, damage up, special attacks up, tools up, revives up, that sort of thing. And each run, you get more tools, but it's gonna get a little more difficult. Like I remember on my third run, this whole new enemy type just randomly appeared, and like he was like stealthing around. He'd come in and he'd have like an attack pattern similar to one of the bosses I'd fight later. I was like, whoa. But, like that was because I was stronger. So I was fighting this enemy type now. There's a lot of depth, a lot of layers. Like every time I go back to the lair, there's something new to talk about, something new I'm unlocking. There's a support system. So as you're running through these levels, you'll have like random Mauser bots like tap in because of things you do in the story. Like Mausers will show up and they'll help you fight against these enemies. It's like randomly generated, but it's awesome, dude. And also, for everyone out there who cares, online co-op.
I was just about to ask you. That's what I was going to ask.
Online play. There is there's split screen, but or not split screen, but there's multiplayer like local and online play.
Nice.
You will run with friends. So I think it's up to 4 as well. So yeah, dude, this is like a legitimately great TMNT game. My only complaint is Switch performance can at times be like the mildest bit spotty. Not like you typically think like, oh, Switch performance. Like it's not that typical way where it's like you're dropping frames, it's looking ugly. Like it's a good looking game. It's more like there are just moments it just skips a little bit. Like it skips a heartbeat and then it's done. And that's really when like the room ends and they're loading in the menu to have you pick your upgrade. There's something there where it just goes, and then it loads in. And it just happens every time. There is that little hitch that they just didn't quite iron out. Like one wrinkle in a really nice dress shirt, pretty much. So, yeah, bro, I've been loving this game and I am all in. I am excited to play more. And I could really see this, if the story ends up good, I could see this being in like a top 10, top 5 for me this year. Like, I'm not kidding. If y'all got a Switch and you got $30 and you like TMNT, I don't even think you got to like TMNT to enjoy this. That's the other thing I'll just throw out there. Similar thing we said about Shredder's Revenge. Like, I really don't think you got to be loving on TMNT to be like, oh, I'm going to play Splintered Fate. Like, it's a legitimately great. If you're a roguelike fan, check this out.
No, it looks good, man. It looks so good. I love the art design. You got me going with that. Then it's based on the IDW comic universe. I think only Platinum was trying to even mess with IDW.
Yeah, Mutants in Manhattan.
Bro,
another awful game.
I remember that was bad. But yeah, Hades Energy. I like the look. I ain't going for the art design is really dope. Yeah, I'm looking at the boss character. This looks fire. I'm mad. I'm like, man. How did PlayStation not even get it? Like, how does it like a Switch? And it's not even on PC.
No, not until the end of this year. It's coming to PC later this year.
So I'm assuming, what is it? Supergiant? Who's the dev?
Super Mega Evil Corp. Remember when this got announced? I distinctly remember dogging on them. Super Evil Mega Corp is what they're called. And the games that they have made, let's see here, because I remember it was not an encouraging list to my knowledge. They did Splinter Fate. They did Catalyst Black, Vainglory. They did the Rebel Moon game. Like they've I don't see anything really here. Like,
I'm gonna hold you.
But
this looks fire.
They did this game and they did it well, bro. They took from the IDW comic art style, which is a huge win for me. The voice, full game's voice, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And they got like Yuri Lowenthal as Michelangelo. Like they got good voice. Nolan North as I think it was Donatello.
Nolan North.
Or no, Nolan North as Raph. Yeah.
We got Nolan. We got the bag. Oh, they put it in work then. They
got good talent for this game, bro. All voiced exceptionally well. The only one I had a problem with is Karai's voice is not good. That's the only one I'm like, but I don't care.
Question. How I need the ninja questions. Like how the foot soldiers, how the enemy animations and
telegraphed really well. So you'll see like when an enemy's winding up, you're gonna see like, oh, it's gonna be an arc attack. Like you're gonna see that orange arc and you're gonna see like a little bit of a second arc kind of loading in, almost to let you know, like, when it hits the tip of that arc, they're swinging. And so the game in all the chaos properly communicates to you, like, oh, there's going to be an explosion there and it's going to last for a while. Like, it, without getting, it's easy to read is how I would define it. Like, you can see in the chaos how enemies are going to attack you and just get out of the way and dash. And especially when you get like 3 dashes, bro, you'll be at this end of the arena, you'll be over here in a second. Like, you'll just, your backdash is crazy in this game. Crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, the AI works really well. Like, they hunt you down, they attack you frequently, they do as they should. Polished game for the most part. It is really good stuff, man. I am loving this game.
Have my attention. For sure. This looks fire.
Excellent. All right, Cog. Well, with that, I'm going to move our warm-up question here to the back end, only because we do have a ton of news left to get into here. And I think since we don't really have a final question for the show, we'll just use that as the final one. So let's get into number 1 here, Cog. Crash Bandicoot 5. It appears that a Crash Bandicoot 5 was in development and subsequently canceled at some point. At least that's according to ex-Toys for Bob artist Nicholas Cole, claiming that an NDA was up and he could speak more on the matter. He not only firmed up that Toys for Bob was working on some sort of Crash 5, but when more people hear about it, it's going to break some hearts. Separately, Project Dragon, which was a totally new IP in development for 3 years, was also canceled. The Uncharted Wolf writes in, "What's up, Dukes? With the news of Crash 5 being reportedly canceled, I have 2 thoughts. 1, why? 2, is there a higher chance of the IP coming back in any way now that it's in Microsoft's hands? It's not like this IP is small in any way. Crash Insane Trilogy sold 20 million copies, and Crash 4 sold 5 million. What more does my beautiful Bandicoot need to do? Thanks for all you do." All right, Cog. Now, this hasn't been laid at the feet of Xbox, fortunately. This would be pretty bad for them if it was. But this comes as a surprise. I thought a Crash 5 was locked in. Like, I really did. Like, 20 million sales on the trilogy, and then 5 on Crash 4 showed, like, hey, that was not just like a one-off. Like, this series has life. To not get a 5 is very, very stunning. What do you make of this news here?
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's very disappointing because obviously, you know, when you never want to hear about a developer say, man, you would have seen what we had cooking, right? And be like, damn, it didn't get greenlit. So to me, I always try to get into the semantics as to why. Why isn't this, greenlit? And, my fear, even though I don't have concrete information, is that when you look at Toys for Bob, you look at, I put it in the Spyro / Banjo / bag, where it's like my concern is that, are they trying to go away from what we would consider, what was it, family friendly is what's the term we utilize?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And and there's a part of me that wants to push back at them, because it's like, if that is the case, I mean, we do have Nintendo over here, right? Mm-hmm. We do have a demographic of gamers that want to play these style of games. And again, if your vision is gamepad, again, I don't want to throw this solely on Xbox. I do not know the details as to why, what happened, the pitch. So I just want to be clear. I'll just talk about from the Xbox perspective. If the mantra is to have this subscription service that could go anywhere with this wide catalog of games that could appeal to everyone, it would behoove you, in my opinion, to have family-friendly style games as part of the service. So again, I don't know the details, the inner workings of why it wasn't shut down, what was going on. There's a ton of things that I'm missing here, but I can only look at what is parsed. It's like, man, you would think Crash would be big enough, right? Especially to what you said, Insane Trilogy. We have some data points that, this ain't a franchise that's, completely out of here kind of thing. So yeah, I'm just curious as to what scared them off, so to speak. That's what I need to know. Like, what was the details about it? Was the scope too big? Did you feel like, what was it? Kind of thing. So yeah, I got questions, and I feel bad because, look, a lot of people love Crash, man. I got a couple of friends that really, really do love Crash, and it's also, I mean, let's just be honest, right? Was formerly, I was blessed to interview the creators and the legendary, Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin and those guys, and the original Naughty Dog. Like he told me about creating Crash and having Miyamoto look over when this is the first time they're going into the 3D space. It's like, oh, how you do that? I was like, yeah, that's a little ego play. He's like, yeah, like I make my first game, our first joint, and Miyamoto a pre E3 show, seeing PlayStation coming, like, yo, this is gonna be a problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's Crash. Crash is the aggressive. I'll never forget the marketing, the aggressive guy with the bullhorn outside of Nintendo Studios. Come out, you little plumber, or whatever he was saying. Like, he was talking that man. It was mascot season, right? It was a thing. Like, if you've been there, it's a thing. So there's a part of me that's like, ABK, this is a core franchise, right? That you want to shout for the rooftop Xboxes. You almost for bragging purposes. Hey, we got your boo. Like he's over here now. Like to me, this is it sells itself, right? Kind of thing. So and I gotta, not that I'm throwing shots at Xbox, but marketing, when they got the deal, they were putting up Crash images with where's the Crash game, bro? And I'm not the family friendly guy, like family game guy, but I understand the importance of Crash. It needs to happen. So I would like to think that there's another game in development, and maybe this particular pitch, but whatever. But I am surprised by this. Yeah. Very surprised by this.
My guess, and just a guess, is that a Crash 5 was canceled during the Call of Duty sweatshop cycle.
Yes.
And I would not be all that surprised if there was a greenlit Crash game by this point in time for Xbox, because it's not just like, oh, let's get the younger kids into Xbox. It's not just, oh, good engagement. Like, this shit sells. And it sells on all platforms. It's got legacy on all platforms. So this will definitely be a multi-platform game with day one Game Pass. I think there's no reason to not do this. The proof is there. We have the stats. I don't know if it's going to sell 20 million copies because that's like a lot of nostalgia, but I do think you could crack 5 million copies easily with some Xbox marketing behind it. So disappointing to see, but I'm thinking that there will be another Crash game. I don't think that's the end of that franchise.
Yeah. I hope so, man. I hope so. There's too much history, and you made the key point. Executives do want to know stuff sells. This stuff's still selling. So let's get to it, y'all. Let's work this. And now maybe in the future that the deal is done, and we're completely out of the salt mines, because we do know that they're here for Call of Duty. We do know this. Yeah. Right. We saw the beta went up. We saw a whole bunch of information. We got news on that. Okay, cool.
We are leaning in.
Okay, cool. So fair enough. So yeah, I'm gonna lean. I'm gonna beat Maddie, the source of balance now. He's like, nah, God, they gonna make it. All right, cool. I'm gonna calm down.
I hope so, because like there's obvious ones as well, like Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's another proven seller. I think the 1 and 2 remake did like 10+ million or something like that. It sold millions of some kind, and they did not do 3 and 4, but that was during like just ABK. I think the question is, because a lot of people are looking at Xbox as like this benevolent force that's going to green light all of these games, and I could see a world where they can, but like, look, we will talk about in 2 news stories how Call of Duty is sort of the lifeline right now for Game Pass in the terms of its growth, and I don't think they are going to want to jeopardize that at all, which means like, oh, you're going to pull precious devs off your golden goose? I don't know about that. That's the one thing that we always said. I know people always like to say we were like glazing the partnership, but that was one thing we were always saying is like, yeah, if they are willing to jeopardize Call of Duty on some level or contract out to get these games done, then maybe we'll get some of these IP revived. But that is the hope, that through Xbox, things like Crash can continue, Tony Hawk can come back, and so on. So I don't want to get too optimistic, but I think it's sold enough to prove itself that they should keep going. But this is the Activision library we're talking about, and Call of Duty trumps all.
Yes.
Next up, according to Jez Corden, the Game Pass standard tier will receive day one games on a case-by-case basis. Worse yet, beyond that uncertainty of what you'll get with your subscription, the wait for those on this tier will be 6 to 12 months for that content to arrive. Jez did clarify that he's unsure what this means for third-party games, meaning that this current information only applies to first-party titles. Cog, we talked about this just last week, and my optimistic take was like, oh, no longer than 3 months. They can't do that. Well, here we are hearing 6 to 12 months. And in some cases, he also mentioned here, I didn't write it down, not at all. So this, I mean, those who got booted out of day one Game Pass for $15 a month, you got firmly kicked the shit out of there. Like, you are not welcome back with your day one games. So what do you make of this clarification here, cog.
Like I said it on IOP. In the words of the great late prodigy of Mobb Deep, there's a song called "Party's Over," and this line is "Party's over. Tell the rest of the crew." We got to tell them, man. Look, you bet. For those in that tier who are still part of it at the existing price, you better not lapse. You better maintain that middle tier that you had, because the minute you do, you're gonna be in Game Pass Standard. And Game Pass Standard, you don't know when you're gonna get those things. You might not get some of them. You might. Who knows what happens with third-party Game Pass games, right? This is just first party. Yeah. So they're like, hey, see you maybe in 6 to 12 months, maybe a year. Maybe a year you'll get Hellblade 2. We'll let you know. We'll contact you. Like that kind of energy. So yeah, like I said before, we said on the crossover, said it last week. This is the play for Ultimate. This is how they are trying. This is their way, in my opinion, of trying to make this thing sustainable. Because let's be honest, in fairness, the only reason why this service really generates interest or makes it more superior to any other service is the fact that they have their day one games in this service. That's it. If the day one games are not there, we wouldn't be, carrying to this point. So this is the trump card. This is the marketing beat, right? Yep. So now you are now strong-arming any new user to get into Ultimate. Ultimate is the highest tier that gives you the most value. That to me is the math that's mathing for them at $20 a month for you to partake, for you to flirt at 20. They're cool with that. But now that Black Ops is here, Call of Duty is here, there will be no $1 you jumping in and you out and you testing and you flirting. Oh, I got 3 years. That's a wrap. So that's what this is. Now, to the other point, I got to be honest, like, man, like, let's say, does that preclude them? They don't get third party?
I'm guessing not. Like, I'm going under the assumption that probably not. I don't mean to doom for anyone out there who's maybe wondering, but like, look, the reality is this. I'm going to be Xbox for a moment here.
Let's go.
What benefits us most? Let's play that game. What benefits us most? Money. What benefits me from getting your money? You not knowing when the fuck you're going to get something and knowing $5 more is going to get you exactly what you want. That's what they want. And so I think they're going to play that. This is where the case by case gets weaponized in a way that's advantageous to them, for them, right? Case by case exclusivity is another thing where it's like they can make money either way. Like they can take all the Xbox fans' money, or they can take the multi-plat money. Like it's annoying as fans, that lack of communication. But we're seeing like they're still making money off these games that they're trying to sell. But with the subscription service, like I think they're going to lean into it where it's like, yeah, like they're not going to give you a hard date, because the reality is once they give you that, gamers are stubborn. Okay, see you in 8 months then. Like they'll fold their arms. Okay, see you then. But if you never know, that is exactly what this team wants. And so I think they're going to keep it that way. And I think third party is arguably for some is the bigger driver of excitement and surprise than first party. First party, you're going to get that. But third is like, oh, they got Persona 3 Reload, or like, oh, they got that. Like that is the surprise of it. So that is the marketing that goes beyond what first party can do. It's extremely important for everyone involved. So I think they're going to keep you in the dark on that for as long as they possibly can.
100%. And to me, like I said, the first party lineup has tremendously improved. We know that. But for my use case, I always get excited when I see a path to the guy. So I see a big third party game and you're like, whoa, day and date and Game Pass, that's huge, right? Because in that sense, it's kind of like an exclusive, right? You're kind of quote unquote getting it for free. So yeah, they're incentivizing that guy to pay up to that highest tier for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, this just shows what we were theorizing with, I think, games like Forza, Starfield. I think I call this the deluxe edition study paying off, right? They're collecting that data, looking at all the sales from the fear of missing out. Look, if they could get y'all to spend in a combined millions on something you would have gotten a week, imagine what they can do to some of y'all in a month's time, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5. Your will is not strong enough. And they know that.
They know it.
They know that. You're either going to unsubscribe or bump it up $5 for that month to get whatever you want.
And we have some data points from the trial already. I believe the target was like over 70% of Game Pass subscribers are Ultimate. I was shocked by that.
Yeah.
So people, they've already got in their mind, you know what? I'm not dealing with all these tiers, naming conventions, and all this craziness you got. What gives me everything? Okay. Yes, please, Ultimate.
Yeah.
And that's what they're banking on.
That's the reality. I think So, like, it's gonna sound like I'm defending him. I'm not, because the price changes do suck. The
Of course, no one's
stripping of
defending
value
price.
does
Yeah,
suck. There's still
increases.
a percentile that was affected, but the reason like the world wasn't on fire, like think about all the reactions, and by the way, also including overreactions to Xbox news in the last year. Why do you think the world wasn't on fire when they changed their prices to their beloved subscription service? Because most people were unaffected by it. That's why. Most people were already at the top level. So that, because like some people, I read the comments last week, and a lot of people were like, man, they like kind of went easy on. I'm like, no, it's just most of us aren't fucking affected by it. Like,
Yeah.
we'll hold their feet to the fire when the service stops being worth our money. But right now, like for many people, it is worth it. But as we addressed, like it's also going to be more case by case compared to what it once was. Back, a couple weeks ago, it was like, duh, go subscribe if you want to save some money. Versus now, like you still save money. Like if you're subscribing for this holiday period and you're going to play everything that they're doing this holiday period, and they're all priced around like the $60 to $70 tier, you're spending close to $60-$80 for 200 something dollars worth of games. Like you're still saving a ton of money. So if you're going to be engaging even for just a couple of months, that's how you can save money in the Xbox ecosystem. And until that stops, where it just doesn't benefit me, that's when I feel like we'll light them up a little bit more. But right now, I think the service in Ultimate is still a great deal.
Yeah.
All right, Cog. You talked about this a little bit more. Let's get into it. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta details were revealed this week. Early access to the beta is available to those who pre-ordered the game or are Game Pass subscribers. This will run from August 30th to September 4th this year, of course. And the open beta will be available to all other players from September 6th to September 9th. So, Cog, has the deluxe edition strategy paid off once more here? Like, yeah, you could play that Call of Duty beta a little earlier. If you pre-order, give us your money or your Game Pass sub. Very interesting play here. What do you make of this?
Hate to be corporate cock, but this is genius. This is the smart play. This is smart. I ain't gonna hold you. When I saw this, I was like, okay. Now, first of all, it's not predatory because if you pre-order on another platform, you're good, right? From my understanding, if you pre-order on but this is where they incentivize the Game Pass subscriber. Finally, the Game Pass subscriber, not to say finally, but this is now, they know your weakness. Yeah. The guys and girls that love this series are not waiting. We have tangible evidence already with earlier releases and stuff like that. But to tie it to the Game Pass subscription, smart. This is the play for sustainability. You got to milk the cow. This is your number one horse. You've got to do it right. That's going to work. I'm telling y'all right now, people, I know that dude who's going to sit there and be like, oh, I get the beta's out? How you ain't got it? So you ain't playing? What you mean? What I got to do? Oh, man, everybody. All right, let me, because do the pre-order, get the cash, or, because they still going to get their money either way. Yeah. They don't care. You buy it, great. You're in. You get in there early. You get the deluxe with the higher tier with the most money or whatever it is that you know they're going to charge. You know what I'm saying, what it is. Or, hey, $20 right now, bro. $20 right. That's all you got to do. You in. I know these dudes. I know dudes that's going to do that. Well, yeah, so that's going to work.
They have that vault upgrade thing where, you're getting into Game Pass. Like, here's this $30 SKU that gives you like all these tiers and passes and skins, and that's going to be included in this. So they're going to get a shit ton of people starting with this, I think. No doubt about it.
For sure. And this is how I was always worried. Last what I'll say. I would say worried. But one thing PlayStation used to do very well was like weaponize some level of exclusivity or thing that you can only do by getting it on PlayStation or messing with PlayStation version of it. This is they're weaponizing the subscription service in conjunction with it to be able to jump in at a lower price point. And I think it's smart. I really do. So yeah, I'm dying to know about the data. And we have some little evidences of Starfield early, those are just paid stuff. But before Game Pass, like that wasn't like you get to play the beta of Forza or something early by being in Game Pass.
That was just a full game.
That was, and people were buying.
Hogwarts Legacy is the best example of that. How many copies did that sell? It was like multiple millions of copies sold in the 3 days before it hit markets. Like that was not even a long early access window. Like Xbox did, like I think 5 days with Starfield, which is a much bigger, understandable stretch. But like 3, it's like a weekend basically. Huge fucking difference, dude. So
Yeah.
like I think they're gonna cash in on this, and this is kind of what we anticipated, was that with Call of Duty, like this is the thing you've got to utilize to elevate, and they're gonna get it on every angle they possibly can, and it kind of speaks for itself. Like you just know, you can read the tea leaves and understand, like Xbox isn't in like a desperate position, but they are desperate to make Call of Duty. Like if there's one thing for all the marketing that they've sucked at, I have to give them props so far, that they're doing a good job of creating the platform association with Call of Duty without really removing PlayStation from the bunch, right? They're not saying like only on Xbox or anything like that, but it's more like, oh yeah, you can like get good value here. Like it's exactly how we had personally drawn it up. Like just create the best value proposition for your platform, but you're going to get your money if they go over to PlayStation anyway. Like they can go ahead and do that. And so it's going to be interesting to see if this pays off, if that philosophy is going to carry over to some of their other games when they bring them to other platforms.
Good point.
All right, next up here, The Verge's Tom Warren has claimed that there is a switch upcoming in a marketing strategy, maybe hitting Xbox in other regions. These are regions like Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, which are likely to receive less console marketing, perhaps outright stopping it, in exchange for a Game Pass-only focus, he says. That focus would also spread to cloud gaming, PC, and Xbox controllers. Now, it's funny because as we're talking, the news is breaking that Xbox Series S is like selling out because of College Football 25. So,
really?
Yeah. College Football 25 is pushing systems for Xbox.
Really?
Yeah. Which I don't know or understand, but
okay,
it's interesting to see this. So maybe hardware is moving for them somehow. But we're seeing regions like Europe, Africa, Middle East, less console marketing, more cloud, Game Pass, PC, controllers. Is this another sign that they're walking away from the console base in the terms of growth? Like, yeah, you know this thing exists and we don't really need to promote this to you.
Yeah, but I don't like it. Look, I get it. The business side of me understands why when you are not moving consoles. So to me, this is a retreat. Like I have to look at it as retreat. We've done everything here as far as consoles concerned, and the numbers indicate that, which I get. But I guess my pushback to them would be, yeah, you're doing that now as Game Pass, but are you going to actually market as Game Pass? See, my issue is, look, I speak to a lot of people, man. One thing I'm very blessed of, a lot of European fans, a lot of people in so many different regions. Like, God, we don't see anything. Shout out to my homie Joe He's in Iceland. He's like, bro, we didn't get one Hellblade 2 anything, and we are in Iceland.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, so again, it looks, and in fairness, because I've had this discussion before, I understand traditional marketing, right? The way of, the billboard and sometimes the Super Bowl ad. I understand the game has changed, and I understand that sometimes it's better to give it to I'm just throwing up names, right now, Fighting Cowboy or Best Matty Plays or this one, what I'm saying? Like, it's better to give to top guys than it is to, or streamers or, whatever, as opposed to that, because it's more beneficial. Like, for example, look at a guy like Kai Cenat right now with Elden Ring, right? Mm-hmm. Look how that's more beneficial than any billboard could do. So I get it, but you've got to do something in these, especially Europe, where you've lost so much ground. Mm-hmm. London, they seem okay with not pulling out there, UK specifically, but Europe, EU, what's going on? Like, it is so non-existent, the brand. And it's just like, that's why, I get a little sad when, I hear they're not going to be at Tokyo Game Show this year. And they've been doing so much well. But this is not really about Tokyo. This is about, to me, EU and other regions. If you are going to pull the console from it, from a marketing standpoint, I get not marketing is hard, but please, like, Game Pass, in my opinion, should be ringing from rooftops about this deal. I don't feel like I hear or see that level of it. And that's my concern. And now my only hope is, if they still, going to go this route, I would like to see it if there's a next generation push as well. Like, I really want to see a call to arms and get people excited about, you have arguably one of the best deals in gaming. Like, I feel it should be a better job being done there. But that's just me. I'm not a marketing major. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's just how my perception and what people kind of tell me in these regions that we don't see anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. I find it disappointing to see because it's interesting. Like what this communicates to me, I think like, okay, well, where are they marketing? Okay, United States, of course, and Japan. I'm like, really? So, I guess Japan, they are seeing some sort of like, if you look at historically Xbox sales, like their best console performance was the 360, which is like 1.6 million, I think it was in that region. And they have about combined 500 or 600,000 right now in Japan with the series consoles. So you're almost halfway there to where your best ever was. Do you view that as a line of progress, like historically speaking, or is there progress there where you're seeing like, oh, we're going to keep growing consoles? Is like this a region that's going to buy consoles? To me, the biggest eyebrow raiser is Europe. I'm like, especially with like sports games, like all you need is a single FIFA marketing deal, and you've got a whole different ball game, right?
Bro, you got every country, you know what I mean? Get them preach. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Continue.
I just feel like you said it screams of retreat. And I get that. Well, now they're like, well, they're not just not marketing anything. Like now they're going to do Game Pass. Now they're going to do cloud gaming, PC controllers. I don't know in some of these countries like what the internet infrastructure is like compared to like say the United States, where things like cloud gaming could pan out well. But like if you're not going to market the console and Game Pass instead, and your newest Game Pass push is no console required, then if the internet isn't ready in certain parts of the world for that sort of experience, which I imagine in some parts it is, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, like let's say it's not for something like, I don't know, like the Middle East, something along those lines, but the internet's not quite ready there, then what are you marketing with Xbox? Controllers that you can't use? A PC, I guess? Cloud gaming that can't be utilized? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you need the console right now because not everyone has the internet, whether it's available or it's money. Like, people might not want to pay monthly for absolutely stacked internet like you and I are willing to do because it means a lot to us. So I think particularly Europe is the big missed one, because I know PlayStation like dominates that region, but that's mostly through third-party marketing. And it's especially a shame because Xbox has studios in that territory, like first-party studios in that territory. Like you don't just, in my opinion, if it ends up being true, walk out of that. But as you mentioned, what do I know? All right, Cog, this one was breaking news.
Oh, thank you for that. That was huge catch you just did. I was looking right now. Wow.
Xbox GeForce Now integration is available today, which allows you to launch supported games on GeForce Now via Xbox.com game pages. So if you're interested in that, you can stream all of these games. Cogs, any thought on this one?
This is a big deal. Two reasons. One, in the streaming world, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Prior to Stadia's exit, GeForce Now is by far the superior streaming service. GeForce Now, like shout out to my Solve's younger brother, Kaibatsu. He is a GeForce Now rider. He kept telling me, and I remember subscribing to the tier, blown away. You want to talk about not having those issues people are having with the Amazon, whatever integration Fire Stick stuff? This is high level latency, very well done. Playing the Twitch games even pretty well. This is interesting. Enable the integration. Now we do know, cloud rights were kind of playing around in different regions and stuff like that. I'm going to look at the official press release. I'm sorry. This is last minute. Cloud game on third-party services.
This is breaking news.
Yeah, they partnered with GeForce Now and Boosteroid to bring the first-party titles to more players. If you own any of your support, ooh, that's big. If you own any of your supported Xbox games on Steam and have an account to either streaming service, you can play your game in the cloud from anywhere. Just make sure you link your Steam account to either NVIDIA, GeForce Now, or Boosteroid. So this is now getting that Steam base as well into the ecosystem. If you own any of the supported games on the Microsoft Store or have a valid Game Pass subscription, you can stream those titles on GeForce Now that's big. So anything that I have, link the account, and I can stream it on arguably the best service. Yeah. That's huge to me. So yeah, they're making the play. I like this a lot. This is a big deal. Yeah. I'm shocked. Wow. Didn't see this coming.
Yeah. So
in the cloud space. Yeah.
It's available now. If anyone's interested, subscribed up, check it out. All right, Cog, on to our original next story here. A rumor recently surfaced that 343 Industries will no longer be making Halo games and only serve as a supervisor moving forward. Jez Corden moved in to swiftly deny this, saying that he's checked into it and calls it false as fuck. His words, not mine. John Juneshek, 343 community manager, responded saying, quote, "It has been and always will be wild out there," end quote, when a Halo streamer said that these sort of leaks only serve to do damage to the company making the games. A Halo Infinite Leaks account also chimed in saying that 343 Industries will be the primary dev on mainline Halo games moving forward. Now, while this question wasn't really pertaining to the news, I felt it fit in really well with where people are at with 343, where Michael Alady wrote in, "Hey Dukes, can I get some Halo Infinite love from you guys? I keep hearing that 343 needs to take some time off from Halo, but I really can't understand why. Is it because of how they handle the multiplayer aspects? Because I'm having a blast with the single player campaign. The grappling mechanic is ingenious, further enhancing the way each encounter in Halo games is a playground for experimenting with different approaches. Being able to grapple onto anything within reach adds a new layer of complexity, not only to combat scenarios, but also to traversal on the open world. Sure, the story is bland so far, and the open world activities are quite formulaic, but I believe they have advanced the Halo gameplay loop rather than taking it a step back. What am I missing?" And so I'm curious for you, Cog, what do you make of this kind of rumor that popped up, was shut down? And if you find any realm of truth to it, like maybe they are the primary dev, but does this indicate more spin-offs around the way that don't involve 343? Like, what do you make of what's happening here? Because to me, I'm like, if it's been years now since we had the whole Halo Infinite fiasco, the game is in a much better state. As someone who cranked the game weekly for a while, I encourage people to catch up with the times. With that in mind, though, if they were in this kind of just supervision role, I do think this company would either be shut down or in considerably smaller for what people are saying that they're doing with the IP now. So, Kag, I pass it to you with this information in mind, what you made of the rumor itself and the idea of 343, kind of like people, I feel like this rumor only gains traction because this is what people want.
Right.
So what do you think of it?
No, it's good. Obviously, definitely when I heard the news, like, wow, they're going to be off it. Like, this is a big deal, kind of thing. So I did some digging around, like last time, obviously, and the dudes, I don't claim to be an insider, but, with certain things I do, I would say I have information that is close to vest on certain situations. And this is one similar to when I told people, oh, they're going to Unreal. You know what I'm saying? I did hear that. And then that ended up being corroborated and being true. So look, I think both statements are true here, which is the initial report. And then Jez is kind of debunking saying 343's involvement. The vibe I get is that they were way too big and way too expensive. And they, first of all, obviously Microsoft's not happy, with that. And as far as results. So from my understanding, 343 is not completely off, but they will be in a supervisory kind of role. There is another team that is handling both projects. Now, this other team, when I say both projects, but probably most likely the future version of Halo, right? The next iteration, and maybe including some type of spin-off. I don't know if the rumor was like Master Chief Collection or whatever the second project is. They're future Halo titles, right? Most likely two of them. So the understanding that even though team has been made smaller, pulled off most of the responsibility from 343 as far as the initial making of these two games, they're still going to be in a supervisory role. There's still some members of 343, from my understanding, that are still part of this new team. So it's not like they're completely removed, but it's kind of like a change up. You know what I'm saying? A little change up in the building. So that's the first thing. As far as it's ultimately it's about they were too big, did not miss targets, and this is not they got to be sustainable. You have to shrink them to be sustainable. So there's a part of me that's like, well, finally something's being done. And then let's be honest too. This is the other thing, the elephant in the room, is that a lot of people like, yo, first of all, we're never going to co-sign fumbling the iconic franchise that is associated with Xbox. We're never going to be that. Now, to my guys, what's my guy's name? Was it Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael. Look, I agree with him. But, I do think that, from an overall package perspective, we've said this before, like Halo Infinite is not a bad game. Halo Infinite is a good game. I completely agree that the grappling hook transforms. Is it perfect? Is it like, oh my God, there's some things that, some things are not formulaic on certain aspects? Absolutely. But it's a solid game. The problem was the multiplayer aspect and not being to have the sustainability to be able to have things in place. It just felt like the whole thing was to get it over the finish line. And let's be real, they got dragged for the initial showing of it. Remember the initial showing of it? And that's when Craig Face came out here, and it was spooky initially. Yeah. So I understand anyone who's playing it right now and says, yo, I don't know what the big deal. People are overrating whatever. It's just not the expectation that they per se had as far as revenue, longevity, and the multiple. They thought this thing was going to be rocking and rolling and had a cash cow, and that wasn't the case. So that's it. We'll see what happens with those in the this kind of co-development kind of strategy and stuff like that. But I like that it's being addressed. I like that in a regime post. Bonnie Ross, and I always forget the name. I always butcher the guy's name. Is it Kurt Pierre or Pierre? I always butcher
Pierre
his name. Pierre Hintz. Oh, yeah, I always butcher it. Sorry. From my understanding, obviously the game's turning around, but last point I'll say is this. You and I both know, even if the game's in a great state right now, the way live services, you miss your moment, that's it. People, it's hard. You got to get them now with the next joint or, the Taken King moment, which it doesn't seem like they want to do. They want to look like a new game.
Another mainline, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So I'm curious where you're at with this. You've been the proponent of taking time off and, taking a break. So where are you at with this news?
I got a couple thoughts. I think to Michael's question about like, what are you missing? It's not to single you out here, man, but like it's kind of in what you wrote. Like you said, sure, the story is bland and the open world activities are formulaic. Exactly. Like particularly your first point, I should mention. That's part of the problem is the last 3 Halo stories have been problematic. And before this, Halo was a series defined by saying a lot with a little. And Infinite definitely captured Master Chief arguably the best. It's just that the story's not done. Like it's not even close to done. It didn't end in a spot where it felt done. It ended in a spot. I remember delivering my review and being like, oh, we'll see like a story expansion in a year. Like that's how I felt. Obviously that was not even close to the case. Like they just went on to the next game, which we'll see if that ends up being a good call or not. I think the team just want to hit the reset button and just get out of that one and move on to something else. But yeah, taking a look at where they're at right now, I think it's tough to deny that this team has bounced back a little bit. They got the ball rolling. And I think what's really going to define this next Halo game is it's very tough to like, I can sympathize with one thing. It's very tough to launch a full single player campaign, full multiplayer suite with the modes, with Forge, plus community content. And I get that could come over time. I think their priorities were out of whack, though. And I'm curious to see what they've learned from this. Like, Forge should have been as instantaneous as possible. That is the single biggest mistake. Because when Forge came, so did the content. If you look at, like, timestamps in history of when Halo started to get more positive sentiment, it was synchronized with the Forge release in Season 3. Like, that single-handedly did it for them. Because then fans made content. That content made its way into official playlists. That got the ball rolling while 343 was doing their thing. And now the game is just flooded with a lot of extra content. If you go in there now for the first time in years, you'll be surprised with how much is there. But the problem is that there's a lack of trust for fans, a lack of concern. Like I remember seeing the response to this news getting shut down was like, well, that sucks. Like I'm not really as excited as I once was. And it's tough because I like how 343 made Halo Infinite feel. It was really about support at the end of the day. Like if I look at it objectively, remove myself from the entire situation, look at it top down, it really was about the lack of support. And it still baffles me what decisions were made, what conversations were had where effectively they went, hey, we're not ready to support this thing. Launch it early anyway. Like I don't know what they thought money, time, something was going to accelerate something there, but they were not even close to ready. And the fact that they launched it that soon when they could have even delayed that game, just given it an extra 3 months and put it at the top half of a barren year, by the way. I know they can't foresee everything, but there were a lot of bad decisions connected to this game, less than the game itself. But definitely out of the 343 Halo games, I don't think you'd be crazy for making the argument that Infinite's like the best they've made. And so 343's kind of found itself in a position where like they're between a rock and a hard place. Like you're not the most beloved, but you're not the most hated, but the trust is gone. But they're kind of, I mean, we'll see what these, like, okay, I compare them a little bit to BioWare. When Gary McKay stepped in as a GM of BioWare, a lot of people are still shitting on BioWare, but I think he has made some brilliant decisions for the health of that company that has put them on a better path. And we'll see how it pans out with Veilguard. But like he got them off of the Old Republic. And I say as someone who likes the Old Republic, but that should not have been BioWare's burden to bear 10 years later. It's taking them away from the stuff that matters. He got them away from live service. He was definitely one of the people in the room like fighting for them to get away from that live service genre and pivoting them to a more single player oriented company and getting them that extra time. He spearheaded the communication, the transparency. It was doing like the public blog posts alongside their phenomenal communication team. Like they've had turnarounds in little ways that I think are going to pay off long-term. And I look at 343 in a similar light. Like there is a level of transparency there. Pierre Hintz did step in and say like, all right, like they started to wrap up on Halo Master Chief Collection pretty quickly after he stepped in. And like, he was the one who was responsible for saving it. But it's like, look, yeah, like there's a lot of people here, but like, we can't just keep supporting old Halo forever. As much as I'd say as someone who loves old Halo, but you just can't. You got to move on. Halo Infinite, like you can tell they've kind of moved on. Like it's not popping off with content. There's been a gradual descent. Like he has come in and made some, I think, tough decisions for the general health of Halo that could be good. A lot of the staff, I won't name names, that were responsible for some really bad decisions with Halo are gone now. And I don't know if Pierre drove those decisions, but they're gone now. So I will say this. I know we're in a business with Xbox of always saying like, you're almost there, bro. They're almost there, bro. Another chance, bro. But like, I do think 343 is warranted one more look because there has been so much that has transformed. They have moved on in ways that I think will give their full attention to this next big thing. And so it comes down to that decision-making and not splitting this team into factions like it seemingly was with Infinite. We saw how many reports did we read about this team? Like we were making this type of Halo game over here and they're making this type of Halo game over here. Dude, how fucking selfish are people? I'm sorry, but from the outside looking in, I'm like, why the fuck would anyone do that? That is so self-serving. So I hope those types of people are just out of there. Like where you're working on one particular type of a game when the command is to do something else. Like that's just not right. Like that's the shit that hurts games. And so that's why 343 was so behind.
No, you're right. And I want to jump in. And I think a key change, I don't know who made this decision, but I think that's what I said when I broke the Unreal engine stuff that they're switching, that I like about it was, let's be honest, you're dealing with a proprietary engine that only select people know. We used to hear stories like this during the Anthem development stories at BioWare about these proprietary engines, these things that are really struggling for developers. And then when you're outsourcing and bringing all these contractors to now learn on a proprietary engine, and then they're going in and they're going out, you got all these little factions. Can you switch to something that is actually universally known, right? Yeah. And now you have that consistency of a slate. And then, you know, I think that's part of it why they switched to Unreal. And then also with the, you know, as far as the layoffs and streamlining things and getting this thing under control. And hopefully, like I said, Pierre can turn this thing around, because that, to me, so much outside development and all that stuff, to me, I always thought that was a red flag. Like, why do you have so many contractors and dealing with that kind of environment? So what I'm hoping, you know what I'm saying, is this streamlining is actually going to make this studio more efficient and produce quality Halo games. The only thing I would like to, and it's just be selfish, there's any way. I know he's over there, I think at Netflix now, but around the time for development, don't get your ego in your own way where you don't feel you could give Joseph Staten a call if he is interested in and wants to be available to do it. I understand. I don't know behind the scenes or whatever, because he does. I felt he played a role in getting the damn thing to decency, considering how bad the initial reception was and how, well, remember, you made great points. This thing did not launch with co-op. It did not launch with Forge. There was a bunch of things that were promised features that didn't make it at launch. Yeah. Right. So it's just rushing to get it through the finish line kind of energy. So that's what I'm hoping. Someone, again, I no disrespect, I'm willing to give Pierre the shot and see what's up, no doubt. But if Staten, you still get that call. Remember, like they called Staten off the couch that last time when it was spooky for them.
Yeah.
This is Halo. Don't play. This game came on my damn birthday. This is the reason Xbox is here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Please show it the respect it deserves and humble yourself if he is interested. That's all I would say. But Pierre, so far, so good. I like the decision so far. And hopefully, some spinoffs, hopefully a next mainline one, and treat this thing with the respect the fans deserve more. They deserve it. No one wants to see this happen to Halo. We will never forgive them completely for this thing falling from grace quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Even though it was a great game. Not that Halo Infinite was a bad game, just the way it came together and the mess, and it was just so much to get it over the finish line, and then no support left because, you know what I'm saying? That kind of energy. So that's where I'm at.
I'm glad you said that, because that was the other thing to answer Michael's question about where Halo's at is, look, I brought this up before, but I just think it always rings true. Can you see this happening with Mario? Can you see Nintendo being like, all right, do Wonder. And let's say Wonder came out like a shit show. All right, do another one. Like, people are like, are you fucking out of your mind? It's Mario. That's your brand. Okay, let's get a PlayStation. Let's give Uncharted to someone else and they just shit something out. Okay, do another one. It's kind of it's actually, like, I'm thinking Halo 5, like, it's pretty controversial. All right, go again. What? It's fucking Uncharted. That's the point that I think people miss all the time, because they're so hell-bent on over-defending 343. I'm one who's willing to give them another shot, but stop trying to make them exempt of criticism.
Yeah.
It's really weird energy. I get that they supported the game. As someone who went back and played it, they have done well. You can acknowledge that at the same time as also seeing how this company has damaged the brand. I don't care if it was intentional or not. I don't think they walked in there and said, how do we fucking destroy this thing? But their work on Halo hurt the brand in every conceivable way. Master Chief Collection, 4, lesser so. 5, Infinite, has hurt the brand. So that's why people call for them to be off of it, and why these rumors gain traction. I'm sorry, but people want this. I'm curious what happens if the next Halo game is delivered and it's amazing.
Ooh.
What's the energy then? Is it like, all right, like, is it a lightning in a bottle moment for a lot of people? Is it okay, they finally got one? Is it like yeah, that's right, that's my Halo developer. They always been making good Halo games, which we know how social media is. And I'll be the first one on the front lines to be like, calm the fuck down, all right? No. Like, yeah. But I'm very curious to see what happens if they deliver. But if they miss again, bro, I don't want to even put it out there. I don't
even want to put the energy.
I don't want to put the energy out there, but I just don't see it ending well.
Yeah, because there's nothing other than the poster child for mismanagement. Yeah. And I don't want to put that on them. So
my guess is if after everything that happened, like the literal, for how the reaction was with Bethesda Studio shutting down, to the public outcry to get rid of 343, right? Like, world of a difference here in interactions from the fans and the games, right? There had to be some sort of talk and plan behind the scenes that the Xbox team looked at and said, okay, despite every single thing that's happened, and maybe we don't see the money, we don't know what Halo Infinite did on that front either, but no matter what anyone was saying and all the noise and all of the optical damage, they went, okay, you go again. I don't know if there's a silver tongue in there. I don't know how it happened, but that's what I'm most curious about. This next Halo game, not just because it's Halo, but because of the situation it was born out of, has to be sick in my eyes. Because if it's not sick, I'm like, how the fuck did this get greenlit then? With everything that was transpiring. I'm the biggest believer in second chances and forgiveness and all that shit. But if this comes out and it's like mediocre or mid or half baked, I'm not fear mongering when I say this. I'm just more so conversing. Like, I think it's going to be one of the biggest problems Xbox ever faces, because it's going to be like, why didn't you just bite the bullet when the time came?
Right. And to me, it's already a major course correction, because it's like, yeah, you're still involved. We're pulling you off on making. Mm-hmm. You will have supervisors that have the final say, and you will have some members of your team in with this new
That's
team.
Some group project energy. Like,
you get
to put your name on the homework, but like someone else is going to do the project for us because we'll get an A over there.
Exactly. And I kind of like that. It's a gradual, and we're going to see how it works with you in this role.
I will say, if it ended up being true, I would like the whole supervision. Like, I think co-development, because like, if you ask me, like, what's the best Halo game to come out of the 343 era, I would genuinely look you in the face and say Halo Wars 2. There's a co-developed effort between 343 and Creative Assembly. And I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, that is more of what I think 343 needs. Like, they need that co-development partner to make something alongside, because then they thrive in that role. I think they do. But when they're on their own, we kind of see what happens. So,
and I personally like the word supervision with them.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. So the eyes in the building. That's what I like.
All right, Cog. This last one, this isn't our last one. We still have 2 more. This is our longest news section, by the way. We have 8 items here. This next one, though, I know is very personal to you. So let's get into it. First reported by Business Insider and corroborated by IGN, Microsoft is reportedly shuttering a major DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion team, according to an internal email sent by the team's leader. The lead also accuses the company leadership of, quote, investigated and evidenced discrimination, harassment, and toxicity, end quote. It's there that they also state that the role and team were eliminated due to changing business needs as of July 1st. So this is pretty recent. The email continues, quote, unofficially, in my opinion, this is from the team lead, not specific to Microsoft alone, but Project 2025 looms and true systems change work associated with DEI programs everywhere are no longer business critical or smart as they were in 2020. Hence the purposeful and strategic 3 to 5 year shelf life of many companies' inclusion commitments post the murder of George Floyd are being reevaluated, the email reads. And the way I see it, the timing was impeccable, so businesses everywhere could reevaluate the path forward should their U.S. federal contracts be at risk if the work continues on its face, end quote. The email also celebrated the work of the DEI team, saying that mountains were moved because of them. Spokesperson Jeff Jones said, quote, our D&I commitments remain unchanged. Our focus on diversity and inclusion is unwavering, and we are holding firm on our expectations, prioritizing accountability, and continuing to focus on this work, end quote. Microsoft joins companies like Google and Meta, who started making significant cuts to DEI programs launched in 2020. I want to kick this to you right away, because I mean, I'll say it quite frankly, as a white guy, I don't think my opinion really has a strong factor in the initial parts of this conversation. So I want to hear from you first on what you have to say for this.
I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. This is tough because obviously it's very personal for me. And, when things are personal and they affect you directly, I always pride myself in trying to be as objective as possible, even though I feel strongly about something, right? And you try to hear the other side. So let's start with, the whole 3-letter word that everyone gets all upset about. When you hear DEI, right? Sure. Diversity, equity, inclusion, right? And look, I get the conversation for people who say, bro, I don't want this in my gaming and characters. And to me, that is a separate discussion. And that is a separate discussion in reference to the consulting agencies and their role or lack of role in said titles. That's another thing. Me, per se, with this, I'm looking at hiring, right? Obviously, Black man, my dream was always to be in the games industry. You know what I'm saying? And, for me, it was always something that you have an IT background, but, it's not really viable. The video games industry is kind of volatile. You don't know if that's the right play, right? So, I remember, I'm just give you some examples, right? And this is why I get saddened by this stuff, because there's a part of me that understands, and I'm not the political guy, but I just got to be honest about what's going on in the climate. I understand during the George Floyd situation, the world felt very empathetic to the plight of a lot of minorities. And now it's like, okay, we've got the course correct. Now, yes, not everyone had good intentions and some were virtual signaling from a corporation standpoint. I'm going to be honest about that. But some were genuine. So it's always about the leaders in place and the true intention of these programs. That's it. So that's why I want to stress that. And some of these allow people to get opportunities or at least be heard, right? That's the main thing. Can we be able, if you're a minority, to be able to be heard in the room, right? To be considered, because the consideration for the most part wasn't there. So that's the first part. Then obviously the second political part, which again, we got to talk about based on the climate, what's going on, is Project 2025 and some of the things associated with that may happen. And at the end of the day, corporations are going to look at how much money and revenue we're getting out of said program. So that's the Bottom line, this is a revenue play. And if certain of these DEI programs are not working, that's a wrap now. Where I get saddened, and again, I can only speak from my perspective, my experience, that's why I get saddened, is that, look, people like to run with this narrative that, yeah, get rid of it because only the best people should be qualified to interview. That's to just pick the best people. That's what I hear all the time, right? And I get that to some extent, but I have to push back because it's like, again, I'm not going to say the names. I can say growing up, and this is first in my IT career, there was opportunity, man, there's a perfect role for me in an IT role for a games company. To the point, Maddie, I was overqualified. I came in, I'm like, bro, I got this. Just nail what they want. Go look at the responsibilities of this role. Prepare yourself. Don't be too cocky, right? I'm in third, and a recruiter called me, actually hit me, said, yo, this would be a perfect thing for you. Didn't you like to get it? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Interview 1, 2, 3, round 4 with the manager now, knocking him out. And it was kind of like, well, Cog, where do you see yourself? We think it's a great role. You know everything. Oh my God, this is, and you love gaming? Like, awesome. Perfect synergy. So then he's like, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? So these are these questions. So I'm like, all right. Well, I'm like, well, I want to continue to grow in the space. In the future, if a managerial role presented itself or any type of, I would love to take it. And there was kind of a pause. And I'm like, all right, okay. And then I never forget back. You go, usually after an interview, you get feedback from the recruiter. So because they want to call you like, hey, how did you feel it go? Then we're going to contact them from HR, see how they felt it go, and then we'll tell you the next steps. So I got a call back from my recruiter, Maddie. Cog, I don't know how to tell you this. It's very strange. I've never seen this before. Yeah, we don't think he's so qualified. He's perfect, but we don't think it's going to be a good fit. He's overqualified. We think he may want to leave later. And I'm like, I'm telling them I'm willing to take less money to get into the games industry to boost my resume. Bro, 2 times. This has happened multiple times where I am told I'm overqualified. And then to the side, the recruiter told me, who is Caucasian, I don't like how that felt. I'm going to try to move you somewhere else. I've never seen this before. I'm not going to say the publisher's name or whatever, but this has happened to me multiple times. So that's why people keep saying, oh, bro, just the best guy wins. It's who's in place. And here's the other thing. It's who you know to even get the opportunity sometimes. Some people, you applying, you ain't getting no response back. But if you're a friend of, what's my man, Pete Hines, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you get in the room, at least to be heard. That's why I feel these programs need to exist. Because again, it's about equal opportunity. That's all I'm saying. And here's the thing that I have to say, and this is, shout out to gamesindustry.biz. There's a developer service called the IGDA Developer Service. I don't know if I'll send you the link to the article.
Yeah, please.
All right, I'll send it to you right now. So, because again, I want to speak from factual and not emotion. I said it to both.
Okay.
All right. If you look at this thing, right, this is a developer survey this is from developers, right? They found that in 70% of game makers felt that there's not enough equal treatment or opportunity in the industry. These are the developers that are already in there. This is from a period of, this is the International Game Developers Association released its 2023 Developer Satisfaction Survey, which saw developers highlight numerous issues: equity, diversity, and inclusion. This is from May 17th to October 2023. Responses from 777 game members. 43% of developers felt policies on non-discrimination, equal employment opportunity hiring, and sexual harassment were adequately enforced. Only 43%. So that's another half of people that did not feel that these are enforced. Right? These are developers in the industry now. 28% of these surveys reported that the workplace had no equity, diversity, and inclusion programs, while 38% of workplaces had a formal complaint procedure for the issue. Only 38% had a process in place if you have these kind of things. And then the last thing I want to say, which is very concerning, 80% of respondents said they believe diversity is important to highlight within the industry, workplace, and in-game content. These are developers, not a consultant agency, not as, you see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
This is not like what the typical labels would be attached to, right? You're saying people working on the games, on the teams, that sort of thing. Sorry, continue.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So again, I get the emotionality, I get the political aspect, and that's all. I just wanted to give perspective from a guy who, you know, loves the games industry, wants to be a part of it, and have encountered these things. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I will say this. I'm not going to put a doom and gloom. I'll end with a positive thing. You know, from my understanding, yes, so corporations will be getting rid of a lot of these programs and preparing themselves. But from what I'm hearing, there may be other things, you know, still in place that they may or renamed or reorganized kind of thing. And that's the hope. I just want people to understand why things need to exist. Yes, not everyone who leads these programs of all the moral highs, that they're great people and you're always going to be bad people. That's life, right? But the program and what the essence of what it's supposed to do, I feel should exist. And that was really my only thing on it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time to share the stories, because I definitely, like, I'll be the first to call myself out in that I definitely am one of those people who's like, yeah, hire the best qualified person. We've had these talks before. Like, I talked about a little of how, like, if I hire someone, like, for example, on my game development team, like, oh, just because they're black, like, we need a black developer, I feel like I'm almost doing them a disservice. I do think there's a balance. It doesn't have to be heavy-handed either way, but your stories move me in a way where it's kind of made me rethink a little bit. So I just appreciate you kind of sharing some of that, because it is important to a degree, and I get the icky terminology that comes alongside it. I think people think of like the worst of the worst, like those who take the moral high ground, push for inclusion, and yet are some of the worst people, and those are horrible representatives. But I think people should just listen closely to what Cog had to share there, because that was definitely some powerful stuff. So I'll leave it there, because again, I don't know if I really have anything of importance to say on a subject like this. So
no, I appreciate you. You know, you bringing it up, and you know, just to be clear, like I have a lot of friends of so many different ethnic backgrounds, and I have the tough conversations with my older white executives, my older black executives, and I was like, yo, like, what do you think? And this is from some older white guys. They're like, look, we got to be real. Like, you know, it does need to happen. It does need to change, and there's a way to handle it. But the key is, like you said, the purity of the heart condition of the people who are actually running it, doing it with the right intention and that aspect. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fair. I gained a lot of respect, you know, for a lot of people for having those tough conversations with me and just telling me the truth about how they feel, even if they disagree sometimes. But for the most part, it seems to be like in agreement with it. And again, this is just from a developer and executive standpoint of people in the building. I'm not talking to consulting agencies. I'm just talking.
That's got to be overemphasized at this point.
I got it, because I know there's a big thing when you mention certain names. You know how that go.
Yeah. You know, I think it just comes from because I get the point of like maybe some thinking maybe a team's not required, because if you were to trust your employees a lot of it really just stems from being a good person. Like, I'm not going to put myself on a soapbox, but I'll just use an interaction we've had as an example for more of like a validity standpoint. Is like, when I was working on a character for our game, it was a black character, and I reached out to you. It was like, hey, like, I don't know about this haircut, and I want to know what you think about this haircut, because I'm just not, you know, qualified to kind of judge this and think it's like culturally sensitive.
Or you hit me about this. This is actually a dope conversation. Continue.
I like the conversation, but it was like one of those things where I think that, like, I don't know if I needed a team to go and do that for me. It's like, I think that comes from just like my team's desire to like, let's accurately represent, like, let's do this right. But I don't think that, I think when you're a big corporation, it's really, I think, naive to argue like, let them handle it themselves. They'll do what's right by them. Right. So, I don't know. Again, what you said was very powerful, and I think those words should be listened to closely. So,
much love, Matt.
Of course. With that, we move on to our final bit of news here. What's leaving Game Pass soon? We already know what's being added in soon. We have Kinitsugami, as we covered. That's day one. Cog, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on that next week. We know we got Flintlock. Reviews on Flintlock looking not great, which, as I mentioned in that last gameplay showing, remember I said, I was like, oh, no, this is not looking that great. So we have just some additions to the exiting list here to quickly wrap up. In A Short Hike, Train Sim World 4, and Venba all leaving console, PC, and cloud on July 31st. And in this note about things coming to Game Pass soon, Xbox did mention they'll have more to share very soon, where I imagine incoming by next week's episode, or by the time you're even listening to this, you'll hear how MW3 and maybe something else pretty big is coming to Game Pass. There is a rumor of Dave the Diver as well. We're hearing rumors of Helldivers too. Like there's rumors flying around of like a big game is hitting Game Pass at the end of this month, because technically Xbox still hasn't done like an Xbox Wire post or anything on the Game Pass changes at all. Like it's just on their support page. So they're either keeping quiet on it or I don't know what. But any thoughts on any exits here, or should we just move into our Game Pass pick of the week?
Yeah, you got to pick. I mean, we know what we waiting for at the end of the month. Whatever this drop is. Yeah, whatever this big game is. Obviously, Tom Henderson put out the report today that, one rumor is that, Dave the Diver, which was a huge game, right? We got to see, and then obviously Modern Warfare. That's the big one, and how they handle the marketing with that. But yeah, we can move on to the Game Pass pick.
All right. Well, I got the Game Pass pick of the week. I think this is my second week in a row, but I had the idea and it was organic. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is coming out soon or anything like that. I think we could predict what next week's Game Pass pick of the week will end up being.
I got it.
Yeah. So Harold Halibut is my Game Pass pick of the week. Laylee has been playing this lately, and I love to use her as a Game Pass gauge because she does not pick your typical video games ever. And so when I saw her like text me and she's in the den and I'm in here like playing, I think Final Fantasy, and she was just like, hey, what do you know about Harold Halibut? I was like, I know nothing about that game, frankly. And so she downloads it, she gives it a try. And I came out and I watched her play it for a while. And I know you've talked about this, Cog, but this game's got like a charm to it. If you like movies, like I think of Coraline a little bit, like that sort of stop motion animation style, I think you'll appreciate it. Again, I was kind of like a drive-by viewer of this, so I'm not going to fully give the lore details like I was there intimately playing it. But the idea is that they've left Earth for this new planet that can hold humans on it, and they get a message from Earth while they're there indicating there's still life there. And like, so they're all in this underwater kind of BioShock-like facility. And they're trying to figure out like what to do next. Like it's this mixture of cozy and suspenseful. At the same time, it's got some good humor in it. Like there's this one part where I think Laylee's talking to like the gym coach there or something like that. He's like, come on, let's go on a run. And like, so he's like, Harold Halibut's like this kind of just doofy guy. Like he's clumsy. He's not really great at everything. So he's like, running down the hallway, and like the voice acting is so good. Like he's running out of breath so quick. He's like, I thought we were, and then like the guy turns around and runs the other way. So you got to like run back and you're way slower than everyone going on the jog. Like it's so funny, dude. So yeah, this game's got a lot of charm to it. If you're looking, it's got like a lot of kind of, I would say menial activities. Like, you'll get a call like, hey, there's some graffiti on the wall. You got to go clean that up, Harold. And like, you'll go there and like, the animations are wonky. Like it's almost like Octodad style as you're kind of waving around. Yeah.
That's cool.
And there's a secret to this facility of something you find that kind of propels the story forward more so. But when I watched it, I was like, you look at the name of this game and you're like, stupid, but it's got a charm to it. And I'm really happy she clicked on it and tried it out because it feels like a hidden gem there. And the dialogue is just so good. The dialogue is very natural. The camera work is also really great. This comes from a team that I think were filmmakers, and you could feel that with how cutscenes are shot. It's very intimate. They're not afraid of like the long stills at all, like where they just two characters talking for a while with the camera kind of being distant, almost Tarantino-like a little bit. It's really good stuff though. Like just intimate is a good word to describe it. Like the setting is very intimate. Everyone's so close by. They all know each other. It's very simple. The UI is connected to this little hand tablet you get. Like you're sifted through like your notebook, and the notebook has like different doodles on it every time you open up the pause menu on different days. Like it's kind of, I would say a gem is a strong term for someone who hasn't like played much of it, but like watching it like hidden gem, like diamond in the rough. Like it's not going to resonate with everyone, but like I could even see you liking this, Cog. Like
this looks like a Cog. Yeah. Like you were piquing my interest. I'm like, yo, this looks like a me game.
Yeah, like a little walking. I don't want to call it just a walking sim because there are little gameplay elements. This is an achievement popper, by the way. Like I watched lately, like slide down a hill and got 20 gamer score, entered a room, got like another 50. Like it's one of those games. So if you want the easy gamer score, Harold Halibut's probably really good for you. But yeah, the world was interesting. I thought the narrative was built up well. The way the cutscenes are shot is really good. And the voice acting is great. So I got to shout out Harold Halibut for this week's Game Pass pick of the week. We also had a write-in here from Dakota Brown. I want to just throw out another suggestion for everyone. It was a question for us, but maybe what Dakota writes here may intrigue others. Hey, Dukes, have you guys tried another Crab's Treasure yet? I don't recall either of you discussing the game, and it released on Game Pass 2 months ago. I really think this is the best Souls-like game out for a few major reasons. One, it is challenging, but not overwhelmingly difficult. I've never spent more than 20 or 30 minutes on a boss. Two, the setting and atmosphere is so good. The cute underwater aesthetic reminds me of a Pixar movie, but it's definitely not a kid's game with the story and themes. Three, the combat system is simple yet so deep. Various trash items become both your shield and spell. It's very customizable, but not overwhelmingly so. Overall, this is my favorite game of the year. Way better than any other Souls-like or even most FromSoft games except Bloodborne for me personally. Have a, you mean I don't have to spend a week beating a single boss kind of day. You know what I'm struggling with? I'm having COG at the park energy with this game, and that I just look at another Crab's Treasure and I'm like, I don't want to play as a crab, dude. Like, like there is this unblockable ego in my mind of like, I don't want to play as like, I talked about it with the Lalafels and Final Fantasy. I got to take my character seriously. Like Harold Halibut, like I'm sure Laylee could disconnect and play as Harold. Me, I'm like, I don't know if I could get into just running around as Harold. Like I don't know if it's because I'm not cool in real life, so I got to feel cool in games, but there's got to be a cool factor to what I'm doing. And running around as a crab in the Souls, like, it's still meme-ridden. Like, I don't know, bro. But like, are you going to check out another Crab's Treasure, COG?
I actually was told about this game. Shout out to the last word. Dude, he bought this Ty Guy Travis from IGN, and he was telling. I think both of them were telling me about it at one point, and I did see there is a charm to it. I'm with you. It's not my style again. I don't want to necessarily same thing. Don't want to play with these type of characters. But I ain't gonna front. This is very creative. Mm-hmm. I did see it. I was like, okay,
it's different.
It's different. It's different, and it's doing some fun things here. So. Yeah. There's a target audience. I just don't know if it's for me. Yeah. But Halibut might be. Just because
Halibut would be yours. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of old school cartoons and almost like clay animation. And, you know, for my old heads, you know, things like Gumby and stuff like that. And it has it has a charm to it. Mm-hmm. And I could tell it looks like you said based on filmmakers and stuff like that, like the way it's shot, and it looks like the voice acting and story looks really like it's really rich. So, damn it, Maddie, man. And you got the Turtles game, and it's always something with
I'll say this. How about games? This? I'll make it easy for you. Turtles game, maybe wait on, right? They're already porting it. Like maybe
you're gonna port it. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You don't want to break out the Switch, right? Like we're gonna use that in your advantage. Like you don't want to break that out. So like maybe get that later, right? Like I can see that going to Game Pass because it does have online co-op. So
yes,
I can see that going to Game Pass. But there you go. There's one off the list for you.
There's one off, and then we could sneak in Halibut. And I'm assuming it seems like it's a shorter game kind of thing. So yeah, that looks cool for sure.
All right. Well, with that, COG, we move on to our final question of the show. This comes from Baptiste Hébert, who writes, Aloha, COG and Maddie. Hope you gents are doing well. I have a first world problem where over the last couple of years, I find myself buying games on PS5 and Xbox with no rhyme or reason. For instance, I have Persona 4 Golden and SMT5 Vengeance on Xbox, but Persona 5 on PS5. Final Fantasy 12 and 13 on Xbox, but 7, 8, and 10, or is that 9? Sorry, 7, 9, and 10 on PS4 and 5. I also have a Steam library and a deck, which my girlfriend mostly uses. For lack of a less pompous term, as an enthusiast, I think all these devices are great, but I wish I had one nice uniform library of physical and digital games with a log of what I played in one place. While I like being everywhere and using multiple SKUs, once in a while I look at Colin and maybe COG, who play almost exclusively on PS5/Xbox, and feel a tinge of jealousy. Maddie, as someone who is largely everywhere also, how do you maintain a sense of zen about having shit strewn about across platforms like me? I want to hear from you, COG, first. Like, how do you deal? Like, for me, it's the different opposite. Like, how do you deal with just having everything in one place? Like, I feel like I would go crazy if not that you only play on Xbox, but like, I don't know if I have a platform I mostly play on. I think I just play everywhere. And so it gets a little sporadic at times. Like right now, I'm on my PC for Final Fantasy. I'm on my Switch for TMNT, but that kind of lets me take on multiple games because I have like a system for the games. But you like go to your Xbox for like 6 different games at once. So like, walk me through how you organize it, and I'll go into some of mine.
It's uniformity. Me and Colin have sat down about this. It's something to be said about just the ecosystem that you prefer in conjunction with everything being aligned with your data and as well as the achievements and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff is important to me. Like I'm the type that sometimes I'm like, man, I don't want to play it over here or on another platform sometimes because, I know that, I'm going to miss out on that, your gamer lineage, your gamer legacy. And then remember, you got to understand, man, I'm older. I got, what is it, 20 plus? If you look at my Xbox profile, it's like 20 plus years in the game on Xbox Live. Yeah. Like I was an alpha tester. I was one of the very first. I was able to keep the Cognito name. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it was available. You know what I'm saying? There was no one else that pretty much had it. So I think it's more of a legacy thing, and to continue to build this legacy with achievements and stuff like that in the ecosystem I like. And then sometimes I'll tell you what it is. I know what the big deterrent is. Especially with Nintendo. PlayStation, I can get away with it sometimes because at least they have trophies, right? And I love that PlayStation Now, when I got Ghost of Tsushima on the ROG Ally, the Director's Cut, I can link my PSN account, because the worst feeling for me is I feel like if I'm playing a game for free. And what I mean by that is playing a game and not getting any credit, only credit specific, either Nintendo, where they don't give you no credit at all, there's no achievement system, there's no Nintendo, come on now. That's terrible. It's horrible. You still ain't got messaging in 2024. What's going on? Yeah. Super Switch or whatever this thing, y'all better have a...
Yeah, they're online.
I'll hold their feet to the fire. Yeah. Like, people give Nintendo way too many passes. But anyway, back on point. So, like, sometimes I'm like, man, like that Turtles game, right? Like, I wouldn't get nothing. There's no achievement. There's nothing, right? So I'm like,
I do. There's like a little itch in the back of my head with that when I'm playing certain games, like just on Switch, where I'm like, or just on PC where I don't care about Steam achievements. I'm like when I'm playing Final Fantasy on PC, I'm like,
at least Steam tries to give something internal, right? Yeah. They're like, okay, we have a Steam system, whatever. But again, it's that little dopamine hit that you go, yes, they popped up, they gave me the credit. Yeah. And then now that I've been on the Ally and I use native Game Pass and some of that synergy, and I'm able to continue to build on my library. So that's what it is for a guy like me that's comfortable, with primarily playing on one ecosystem the majority of the time, right? That kind of thing. But I give you credit, you know what I'm saying? Because you are able to navigate. Like, you're like, I'm here. And last confession, I have to call myself to court.
Uh-oh.
I realized, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Look, I know there's a lot of other games coming on, and bro, you like Final Fantasy. The minute I saw Phil with Square,
you shut it all down?
I was like, it's coming.
Oh,
it's coming. So why, if I go through all this and then they make an announcement at the showcase, so I stopped. I'm like, it's coming. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now I've got Rebirth looking at me like, bro, you are the Final Fantasy VII. What is going? That was the reason. So it shows you when you're really invested in the ecosystem. Sometimes you are willing to wait. Yeah. It comes to your platform, so to speak. Messed up logic, not the greatest, but I had to call myself to court on that one. So yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Because, like, for example, Splintered Fate is a perfect point for me. It's like, I'll never touch a phone game. It's literally the same game on Switch, but it's like, I'm like, yo, this shit's amazing. Like, best Ninja Turtles game ever. Like, there is I need the controller. Like, I can't do this touch screen. Like, nah, get out of here with that. So I think you're not crazy for that take. I give you a lot of credit for being able to hold out on Final Fantasy VII for so long, though, dude. Like, that's impressive. Because, like, Rebirth's amazing. You'd love it.
Yeah. It's time.
Yeah.
I was just hoping. I was like, well, maybe my Tokyo Game Show. Maybe. I was like, hold it. And it's getting to the point, like, bro.
You should get comfortable with the idea of probably 16. Like, you'll get 7 in like 8 years, but you'll get maybe 16 sooner in my head. I feel.
No, you're right. That's I have to get back on there and stop BSing it and get it done. No, you're right.
It's a really good game. So I think you'll like it a lot. For me, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's just having a platform dedicated to a game at any particular time. So like, okay, TMNT, Splintered Fate, Switch. So anytime I look at my Switch, I'm like, that's the game. That's the game I'm playing. PlayStation, like there are certain games I don't know if I can really it's a feel factor. Like there's some games I just want to, if I think the platinum could be good for that, because I don't look it up before the game comes out. Sometimes I'm reviewing these games, so it's like I don't want to spoil the story for myself in any way. But if I'm like, yeah, I could see myself liking that. If I do like that a lot, like I want the platinum. For example, like I'm gonna get Star Wars Outlaws on PlayStation because I don't platinum many Star Wars games, and this is the first open world kind of completionist Ubisoft style Star Wars game, and I like the idea of getting the platinum for that. I might not get the platinum, but I'm gonna like if I do want to go for it, I want to have the option to it without buying the game again, right? So like that's my weird decision making process there. So sometimes like there's no rhyme or reason for it. With my retro collection, it's much more uniform. Like all of my Star Wars games are, funny enough, Xbox. Like all of them, 360 and original Xbox. Like that was the Star Wars machine for me. Let's see here. Games that are kind of pick up and play, always handheld. So that's Steam Deck, that's Switch. So I kind of genre define them. So, it's turn-based RPG. Like, would this work on Steam Deck? Like, okay, I'll get it on Steam then. Or like, is this better on Switch where I can just kind of hit the power button, flip it on, play for 3 hours and put it down? Maybe I'll do that instead. So that's how I kind of figure it out a little bit on making my purchasing decisions. It's really about convenience and like if it's a multiplayer game or whatever, like where are my friends at? Like I played Elden Ring on PC, but I also got it on PS5 because all of my friends have PS5. So like I wanted to play co-op with them or help them through bosses or have them help me through bosses. And so like that's what we did. We just all went to PS5. And so I'll get stuff for Xbox plenty of times, like especially for Xbox, I get it for the games that are low attachment in the terms of preservation. Like I know Xbox usually has like not everything on disc. So if you're like Kana Online or you have a really good sale, that's where I get a lot of their games, or cloud gaming. Fire this up on the console, then remote play to my Logitech G Cloud.
You're a big proponent of cloud.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love cloud. It's like as a retro guy, it's surprising, but yeah, I think it's great. Because I'm hoping one day without the third party app, Xbox unlocks like 360 back compat, OG Xbox back compat with achievement support that can be cloud streamed. Because I think that'll be amazing. I'd be so happy with that. So as you can tell, there's no rhyme or reason. Like I will kind of just be inconsistent because I don't know. Once I feel like I over define a platform, then I'm just not thinking about what matters most to me, which not that this is the case for you, but for me, it's like games. Like I like seeing my shelves covered with games. So like I like the chaos of it. I alphabetize my whole shelves in every collection. So I don't have trouble finding anything at all.
The Rossies, I can tell you're so particular. I can tell.
Even like numbers first, then A. Like I'm like that. Like it's like, oh, this is BL, but this is BLM. It's like, okay, so this is gonna go after that. Like I'm that particular with it. So I don't know, like I have a lot of fun with it. And if you're looking for like a singular organized place, Baptiste, I would say that the Game Eye app is pretty good. You can add your digital collection if it matters to you. I don't, because like I more so just track my physical collection, and they have a barcode scanner. So like I just sat there one afternoon, I think for like 3 hours, and just went through this whole room and just scanned in my whole collection, which I was surprised how much I've spent on games, by the way. I was like, oh fuck, if I ever have to retire, like this is a good starting point. But it won't get me far, but it's still funny. But yeah, like Game Eye app is great because you can log all of your games. Because what was happening is I was going to retro game shops and I was like, oh, like Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. Like, do I have this? And I wouldn't know because my collection got that big. I was like, I don't blame myself. I think I looked at my phone. I have 800 games, like just physically, not excluding any digital.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, I can't. I'm impressed I remembered them all, but now I'm starting to slip a little bit because I'm like, I got so many. Like there was an ego to it. It's like, man, I'm not a real game collector if I don't know everything I got. But eventually you realize you're like, when I counted up, I was like, yeah, this makes more sense. Like I'm getting some of these. So now when I'm at a game shop, I'll just like search it up on my Game Eye app. I'm like, oh, Final Fantasy 3. Do I have that? Check it up. It's like, oh, I don't have it. I scanned every game. So I'm going to buy this then. And that's it. So you can use that to kind of keep an idea of, like you said, how do you maintain a sense of zen with having shit strewn about across platforms like me? Maybe this will help a little bit. All right, Cog. With that, we wrap things up. It's time to pick out our hashtag this week. We had a lot to go through, Crash Bandicoot 5, day one Game Pass clarifications, beta details, marketing exit. I don't know. I feel like this is the week I'm finally going to name an episode. X going to give it to you. Like I've just been kind of waiting on it. But like,
what's bringing this on? I'm curious.
I don't know. Like I was just thinking, like, you know, like they're like, yeah, we're going to give it to you. Like, yeah, like it's the Call of Duty push now. But at the same time, like potentially knocking some consoles out of regions. Like they're moving different right now. You know what I'm talking about?
Moving different.
So I don't know. Maybe is this the week I pull the trigger on that, or is this like a more of a hype week I pull that on? Like I feel
like they're in the cusp of trying to do something, but it ain't there yet until the card drop. That's just where me at.
Yeah.
I'm like, we know it's about to happen. We see they ready to try to do that.
Yeah.
But it's a weird one. It's a weird one. I guess I'll push back slightly. I don't want to give them like, yo, all the way yet. Just yet. Let's see them. You know what I'm saying? Put it out first. Let's see how it goes.
No, you're right.
We know it's coming, but you know what I'm saying? It's just funny. I just want to, you know, you gotta let them earn it a little bit.
No, you're right. Yeah, we don't want to have X give it to us too quickly. So
then the beta come out, crash all over the place, and the worst launch. And you know, we've done this in the realm of Dukes long enough.
For myself, I love my titles hard. So when I think of that, I get the thumbnail in mind. I'm like, oh, I have Cog in me. Like, throw up the X and like, what are we gonna put in the background? Like,
the next week, here come the beta. Worst online launching of a Call of Duty.
So. We'll stay away from that name for this week until we got some good news. I'll figure out what I'm going to title this episode. I don't know. But like,
we did a hashtag, though.
The hashtag, let's see here. We could do, I guess that's too long, but like moving different DD. Kind of.
I like moving different. Yeah. That's hard. I like that. That's a double kind of take. Yeah, that's a double entendre kind of. I like that. Yeah.
All right.
Moving different is good.
All right. We're going to go with a long one. We're going to trust everyone's attention spans and spelling abilities of moving different DD. So if you want us to know your thoughts, use the comment section down below, hashtag moving different DD, or you can tag us on Twitter. I'm at Q27status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. Let us know your thoughts. And other than that, Cog, any closing thoughts as we round this one out?
Dope show in the Realm of the Dukes, man. Really enjoyed this one. Hilarious, but good stuff, important topics. Well, right. What I like is we're able to make stuff happen when technically it's the quiet before the storm. You know what I'm saying? And the shows have been really good, and people have been hitting us up and like, yo, loving the Realm of the Dukes right now. So yeah, love the energy. Like, I love the title, but yeah, fun show.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was putting together, like for those who are ever curious, like how I organize the news versus the before we begin is like tidbits, little bits and pieces of news for those who are like deep in the cut, just want us to kind of, some like we'll actually sit on for a while, some will fly by. And then the ones that are like news, like that's where I think we're going to park it for a while. And there was a lot here. I'm like, that's not quite like drive by. Like it's not major news, but like our number one, what could have been like our number 4, like it could have gone in any direction. So again, that's my problem in that I don't know what I'm going to label this episode. Sometimes I do wish I labeled our episodes like Colin, where it's like, you know, poop stool and just like, and just like these obscure random fucking words. Grab that.
He be having the ill references with the I see what he be doing.
So sometimes I wish I did that. So maybe we'll do that this week. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into another episode of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. We'll catch you next week for episode 186. Until then, have an all right week and peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.